Okay. Hey, folks. My bad. It's been a long day and a long week, but we are here. So thank y'all for being patient while I had to take care of some logistics. All right. Um, Let me see. We have a lot to cover, but I don't know how this is gonna go because my stuff has been acting really weird all day as far as everything that I had my notes gathered in. But okay. First of all, can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm sure you can. Oh yes. All right, let me get my what's up portions in and then we'll get it going. All right. What up, J Law? Miss Nuru? Kurt, what's up? Um so Will Child said his facial expressions in the thumbnail says it all. Let the foolery begin. Yo. I'm tired. Okay, it's all this nonsense going on. It was killing me to not be here for like the last 2 weeks because there were so many. I'm hitting this mic. There were so many things going on that were just off the chain. I'm gonna try to address some of the things that I didn't get to cover in the last week or two. So when we get to some of these older stories, bear with me. I'm still gonna say what I needed to say. But yeah, it was like I said, I had a really full plate in March and April, and I was just trying to get stuff done. And so I'm slowly getting there. I don't like how this camera is angled. So I'm gonna just tilt it a tiny bit. Please don't mess up. All right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to get into everything I need to get into, but we'll keep it going. Just bear with me for like one more week, and then I'll kind of be back on my regular schedule again. And In the News finally makes its return. I told you I hate making them, but enough of you have said please bring those back, so I will bring back the In the News probably the week after next. I'm trying to also finish this Mariah. So what happened? So my plate's just full. I told y'all I was doing the musical. We just finished and wrapped that, so that was good. At my actual real job, there's like this major event I'm on the, I guess, called the committee or the event planning team for. So I've been trying to knock that out at the same time. And I'm also like I told y'all, I am a concert junkie. So I done booked tickets to see every and anybody. I saw Janet Saturday. I will talk about Janet's concert on a separate video. Where's Belize Gal? Because I know she on here. We'll talk about Janet's concert on a different video. Plus, I'm seeing her twice. So I saw her at the Bristol show, which was kind of cool. Michelle Obama was at that show. And I'm going to go to the Baltimore show on Saturday. And then I also got to see Lettucey yesterday, which is really dope. And look, Michelle Obama was at that show too. But it was interesting because that show, it was supposed to be Music Soul Child, Kim, and Lettucey. Music Soul Child wasn't there. I don't know what happened. They didn't make no announcement, but I was fine with it. But anyway, with that concert, it was actually really, really good for what it was. But I think where they messed up, they did 3 nights at Constitution Hall. I don't know what the Friday and Saturday show looked like, but the Sunday show was pretty empty. And I think it's because they announced the show too late. I was randomly minding my business like 2 weeks ago, walking to go grab some tea, and my godmom called, cussing me out like, yo, why you didn't tell me Lettucey and Kim was here, and they gonna be at the Constitution Hall? I'm like, I didn't know they was gonna be here. And so when I went to get us the tickets, I think the tickets had literally just gone on sale that day, and that was only 2 weeks ago. And like I said in my TLC So It Happened video, you can't really just announce a tour or a spot date only 1 or 2 weeks before the event and expect it to sell out. But I don't know, maybe they did much better on the Friday and Saturday show, but that Sunday show, I feel like that crowd was maybe at 50% capacity, and I'm being very generous, but it was an excellent show. Lettucey, if she comes to your town, please go see her. Like it makes no sense how good she is. I was totally, it could have just been Lettucey by herself. I'd have been fine. Like I enjoyed every minute of her. She to me is one of Shaka's daughters. Like she just has that range that it's just there, and she just hits every note, and it's like healthy and rich, and she just is good energy all around. Had this amazing band. She had this backup. I always pay attention to who the backup singers are. I wrote the name down this time because I messed up with the New Edition show. I forgot the boy's name or the lady's name. I'm sorry, but her name was Lord. I talked about it. I put it in the comment section on that Escape. I went to that show too on a New Edition video. What was homeboy's name? Damon Michael Wyatt. Okay, so he was one of Lettucey's background singers, and he amazing. They were tearing that stuff up. But no, she sounded really, really good. I enjoyed that. And then after Lettucey came Kim, K-E-M. And I've seen him before. I saw him when I saw Jill Scott some years back, and he was really good. What I liked about Kim was he had a 10-piece band. That's right up my alley. Like I love a good band. Like a good band is everything. So he had like a brass section. He had these really great background singers as well. Band was amazing. Great showmanship. Great show. So it was a good time. I got a few other shows I'm going to, and it was wild because it's just been. I'm a little tired. One of my kids graduated from. Actually, a few of my kids have been graduating from college this week. So I have one that graduates from George Mason on the 18th. But one of my other kids graduated from Old Dominion University in Norfolk. So that was on Saturday. So I drove down to Norfolk like Friday night. Well, first I stopped in Richmond, ran the streets a little bit, and then drove to Norfolk. Went to the graduation at 9 a.m. And let me tell y'all what's real trifling. Do you know they had Glenn Youngkin as the speaker? That's the governor of Virginia. Now, don't underestimate Glenn Youngkin. He is like one step from DeSantis, okay? He's Diet Donald Trump and DeSantis Jr. He's right there with Hot Wheels in the wheelchair as well. So he did the speech. Now, the thing that got me, they had a whole petition and stuff. They didn't want him to do the speech or speak and everything. So I'm over here thinking like, these college kids are about to cut up. They're about to boo. They're about to go in. No, that man came out there. There might have been 20 or 30 of the graduates who were like, nah, we're not having it. And some of them stood up and turned their backs while he talking. A few of them booed. But there was 2,000 graduates. I said, y'all a little too courteous in here. But whatever. The only thing that was also interesting, I was very happy for, my kid that got her bachelor's, but they decided to read all 2,000 names because I don't know. I know usually at larger schools, they'll have the different schools have their own individual ceremony, and then they do the big commencement, and that whole school just stands up and sits down, and that's time. I know when I was at Howard, like School of C had their special graduation, the School of B had theirs, the School of Arts and Sciences had like all of the schools had their own ceremony, and then you had the big commencement with the 2,000 undergraduates and graduates and doctorate, everybody together. And then they just call the individual schools and they'll say, oh, School of Communications. You stand up and and sit back down, and you go to the next school. And I think the only people that they call to walk across the stage are the people that earn their doctorates, just for the sake of time. But Old Dominion said, no, we're going to go and read every name. And so we sat there. It was hot. We were sitting up there on that high stadium. My head was starting to hurt. I was like, man. And it was so funny because the lady was like, and please stay for all of the graduates. And look, as soon as people's kids and stuff started graduating, people were clearing out. And so the girl that I was there for, she was in the very last group. She was in their School of Cybersecurity. And then she was in like the next to the last row. So we had to sit there. And so by the time she went across the stage, almost the whole stadium had cleared out. It was about 12:30. I was like, man. But anyway, I was in a rush because Janet was the same night. So we went back to the graduate's house. They had like a nice party, cut the cake. I'm kind of in a rush because I'm getting a little anxious. Like I need to get back to my side of the world. I got to drive 4 hours. And so, yeah, got on the road, I think at like 2 o'clock. Something told me just go straight to the venue because, first of all, Janet, I love you, but go to Capital One Arena next time. Y'all like doing these outdoor amphitheaters that be in the middle of nowhere. These random 20,000 seat amphitheaters out in the middle of nowhere. I ain't never been to no Bristol, Virginia. But anyway, something told me just go straight to the venue instead of going home and changing and trying to get into my fun concert clothes because, I'm still in like commencement ceremony looking a little regal clothes. And I was like, let me just go straight there. And I'm glad I did because it was one of those places where they got one way in, one way out. And so you just sit there. So I think I was supposed to get to the venue at like 6 o'clock. I got there by the time I got into the parking lot after sitting, because I was maybe a mile from the venue and I just sat for like an hour. It was like 7:30 when I got to the actual seat that I paid for. And there was a lot of people who didn't even make it in the show because they never were able to get to the venue because the traffic was that horrible. It reminds me of the On the Run tour opening night in Miami that time, where all those people, like there was a whole bunch of people that did not make it to the stadium because it was just the accommodations just weren't there. But anyway, the concert was really, really great. I'll talk about it on another video. This week, I see Jill Scott Thursday. No. Am I saying right? Yeah, Jill Scott Thursday. Then I got my godmom. There's like some Mother's Day shows. It's a gospel show, so it's like Yolanda Adams and Donnie McClurkin and John P. Key and them. That's Friday. And then it's Janet again Saturday. I always see her twice. I got to get my Janet fix in. And then it's Anita Baker Sunday. So I'm booked for the next 4 days. I don't know how I'm going to have a voice. But anyway, let me read a few comments and then we're going to keep it going. But Lettucey was amazing. Go please see her if you get a chance. That beautiful, her whole energy is just right. Like I loved it. Loved every minute of it. Oh, and then I don't know if you're watching. I ran into somebody that watches me, so that was really cool. I don't want to put your name out here because folks be weird on the internet. But and then they be trying to stalk folks. But yeah, really nice to meet you. That was really cool as well. She was saying my godmom need to come on here because she's funny. I was like, look, my godmom gonna get me canceled because she say too much stuff out of pocket. All right, anyway. What up, D Bradford? Giovanna D, what up? What up? Somebody said, how are you? Hope your production is going well. I can't wait for it to come out. We have our rollout strategy for the fall, and then we're going to jump into the film festival circuit. So can't wait for all of that, and I'm looking forward to it. I actually go to LA on the 24th as well for some other stuff. So I'm just all over the place. I ain't getting enough sleep, y'all. I'm trying, so bear with me. Anyway, being reset 23 has been 23. I agree. Let's see. What up, Lindsay? Oh, that's my road dog there. Lindsay be under the radar, but she be doing music and stuff. So definitely support her. She has one of my favorite songs. I'm gonna tell you what it's called. It's something about water. I love that song. Let me pull it up really quick. Yeah, she's one of the subscribers. She does music. She does a bunch of things. But the song I really like of her, Song of Water, I think it's such a nice song. LENCI, and then look up her Song of Water. It almost reminds me of like a Sade, Love is Stronger Than Pride meets, and this is gonna be a very weird meets. Remember Donna Lewis, I Love You Always and Forever, that song from the 90s? It kind of reminds me, like if you could mix those two together, it reminds me of that. But I love that song. No, I did not go to Lovers and Friends Vegas. Look, it was hot. And Janet was the same week. So, anyway, I will talk about Janet later because I don't want Belize gal. No, I'm playing. No, we just got so much to cover. I'm gonna give Janet her own video like I normally do. And I'll probably do a review for Anita Baker as well. All right. What up, Abby Wise? We got to start soon. Who is Lettucey? Lettucey is this wonderful R&B singer. Check out some of her songs like I Blame You and In the Morning and Today and I Miss You Now and Higher and Add to Me. She has some really great ones. Like, to me, Lettucey is our 2023 Shaka Khan. Well, she's her own person, but she's the daughter of Shaka, so I love it. All right. Oh yeah, Babyface is at the Anita Baker show too. Thank you, Level Infinity. You said you saw Kim last year and he was great. Babyface is performing beforehand. Yeah, so I can't wait to see that as well. That's gonna be a fun show. Yeah, they said Kim is from Detroit. He survived a lot of trauma. He was promoting his book that he just released as well. He was kind of nicely talking about it. So I was like, okay, interesting. All right, we got to keep going. Dang, man, I left my tea on the stove and I don't feel like getting up. We'll get it later. It's still too hot anyway. Okay, let's jump into, look, okay, Lindsay's still on here. Good. That's her song. Yes, y'all go and support that song. All right. Anyway, let's jump into this. I think I've had more than enough time to ramble. Anything else I want to cover before I get into the heavy stuff? Oh, okay. One more thing that had me cracking up. I should have saved this for in the news. That clip of the wedding. I know y'all have seen this. It's the clip where it's the wedding and they're having the wedding party walk in, when the bridesmaids and the groomsmen come in, and it's playing the Lauryn Hill D'Angelo Nothing Even Matters. And you know how normally the wedding party, they just walk in, right? They just walk in and go on in there and everybody's crying and the flower girl comes and throws the stuff and boom, we get to it. Oh no, they said they're gonna have a routine. And so this routine, because I paid attention and memorized it, it was forward step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 steps back, bop, bop, forward step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 steps back. And the problem was that, let me show you how slow they were going. Can y'all see me still? They said, doom, 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 and then they went back, doom, doom, doom. I was like, there is no way somebody is sitting through this. Then they went back. And then what happened was, when they got to the corner, the lady in the front messed up. She went 5 steps, threw everybody off. And I don't know. I was sitting here dying. I was like, how long did it take them to get to the end of the altar? If you see that video, it probably took about 8-9 minutes. I know they had to start the song over 2 times because I was like, who in their right mind thought of this? And you could just tell this was something they made up the night before. And I don't know who mapped this out, but I was like, that was such a good laugh when I saw it. I said, you know what? Because you know at weddings, people be hungry. They were outside, it's hot. And you know, the spring, that's when all the bugs come out. Like it's not super hot yet. So that's when the mosquitoes and everything are coming out there, nesting and laying eggs and stuff. So I'm just picturing the people at the wedding sitting there. And, you know, here these people come this slow. This is how my grandma in the senior choir used to march in when she was still alive. When they used to come to church, we used to be like, oh, hey, ever gonna get here? Like, dang, man. Because you always be like, they need to hurry up because one of them might not make it. You know, Father Time might call one of them home before they get to the choir stand at the rate that they're going. And so that was such a good laugh. I needed that. That was hilarious. I love Black people so much because we are just everything we do is funny. It's just so funny sometimes. But oh, I enjoyed that. Oh, that was too good. But yeah, I don't know who said let's take 2 steps back. I'm like, not 2 steps back. It reminds me when the parents of my goddaughter got married. So one of my good friends. Well, first she invited me and one of my friends to do a duet, but I was like, I don't think I want to sing at a wedding. I ain't trying to mess up the wedding. And so I let the friend do it. I was like, let me just work the sound and I'll host the reception. You know, that's more of my thing. I like to make people laugh. I'll sing when I do an album or something, but I don't like, I said a wedding is too sentimental. I don't want to mess nothing up. I'm going to still do good. She wanted us to sing Eric Benet and Tamia, Spend My Life With You. I would have killed it, but I was like, I don't know. Y'all got it. But anyway, so my friend, she ended up doing Leela James, Fall For You. And they're doing the wedding, right? The wedding party's coming out. They do this part where they have the girl. Well, these weren't even the bridesmaids. I don't know what they were. It was another group of girls that had some other dresses. Y'all know, ladies, y'all know y'all having these elaborate weddings. And so they were rolling out this like thing that would go on the floor, but it would not unroll. And so my friend is sitting here singing. Now the song is only about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, maybe 4 minutes, because you know some of the ballads be a little bit longer. And so the people are supposed to roll the thing out in that 4 minutes. They were going to read a letter from the girl's dad because he was overseas. And then the bridesmaid and all of them come out. And this was all supposed to happen in 3 minutes. They were sitting here rolling and tugging this thing and it would not come out. And so the song is over. I'm in the back working the sound. I'm playing the thing. I'm telling my friend just keep doing something. I'm going to start the song over. Like, just do something. And so she just riffed and ran and hummed for like 5 minutes. And we had to keep starting the song over because it took them forever to roll the thing out. I was like, Lord. And friend, she held it down with that one. That was so hilarious. And see, that's why I'm glad she did it. Because if we would have had to do the Eric Benet and Tamia song, the song would have ran out. And then I don't know if the sound man in the back would have caught us saying like, start it over. And then I don't know what we would have did. We probably would have just sang the song again. So that would have been funny. Anyway, okay, on a serious note, I just had to warm y'all up. All right. Okay, so let us start with, this is so hard. Hold on, let me grab my tea. This is sad first. I'm going to talk about Jordan Neely, but let me get my tea first. I'm going to just talk while I'm walking because I'm just over here. Anyway, so I saw the video. Oh, please don't burn my hand with this cup. There we go. Yes. All right, my bad. I'm just treating y'all like y'all in my house today. I'm sorry. I'm being a little unprofessional today. All right, so let's talk Jordan Neely, right? So as we've seen at this point, there's been a lot of kickback, outrage, protest. Now, Jordan Neely, as we see, I just want to pull one thing up, make sure I'm getting this right before I start reporting this. Now, I want to mess none of this up. Yes, okay. So we've seen the clip, right? And there's this clip where you see him on the train. Now, I didn't watch the clip, but, you know, you can put 2 and 2 together to figure out what's happening, right? So the narrative is that he was on the train and maybe having a moment or an episode, and all of these people felt that their lives were in danger and they needed to do everything to protect everybody on the train. So now they pin this man down and have him in a chokehold for like, I forgot how long, but long enough for him to die. And before I even get to anything, the part that gets me with that, normally, and I'm saying this as somebody who often rides the subway. Like, I mean, DC subway is very different from New York, but I'm always in New York all the time anyway. You know, one of the things we've just always known, you know, there's always going to be somebody that's on the train sometimes that are just in their own world. And you normally just leave them alone. And they usually leave you alone as well. Even when they're yelling or hollering or doing whatever, they'll walk and go from train to train and do whatever. And I'll just be in my own zone. Like, all right. But the thing for me is, if you're pinning him down for all this time on the train, like, how come when y'all just got to the next stop, didn't y'all, if you were so afraid of your life, didn't you just either you get off or y'all push him on off or do whatever? Or if you were going to pin the man down as opposed to killing him or choking him, like, why didn't you just hold him? Even though I don't like this idea of holding anybody down, first of all, I'm going to get to that in a second because too many people around here think they're heroes. Why didn't you just restrain him in a way where he didn't have to die? And then as soon as whatever authorities come, you go from there, which even with that, I don't know how that's going to go because then police like to beat and stump people out too. So I was just kind of like, something ain't right in the water, right? And so the guy, what was the name, Danny or something, 24 years old, I think he was a Marine, right? I want to read these little goofy statements, or this goofy statement he said. And I said, this is the stuff I be talking about. Like, Black people, we're too nice. I'm going to say that. We are too nice. All right. This was his statement. Daniel Penny. All right. Let me get the big side. I ain't got my glasses. The law firm of Razor and Kenneth PC represents Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old college student and Marine veteran. Earlier this week, Daniel Penny was involved in a tragic accident on the New York subway, which ended in the death of Jordan Neely. We would first like to express on behalf of Daniel Penny our condolences to those close to Mr. Neely. Mr. Neely had a this right here. Mr. Neely had a documented history of violent and erratic behavior, the apparent result of ongoing and unrelated mental illness. When Mr. Neely began aggressively threatening Daniel Perry and other passengers, Daniel, with the help of others, acted to protect themselves until help arrived. Daniel never intended to harm Mr. Neely and could not have foreseen his untimely death. For too long, those suffering from mental illness have been treated with indifference. Yeah, and y'all killed him. So I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this. We hope that out of this awful tragedy will come a new commitment by our elected officials to address the mental health crisis on our streets and subways. Now, you done killed somebody, and then rather than just releasing your statement with the apology, you still want to talk trash and somehow, he had a history of erratic behavior and blah, 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 blah. You didn't know that before you pinned him down and choked him out, so you can cut that crap. Let me take a sip because God, man, let me say this. Actually, before I get to that, let me read the family's response to that. So stupid. Had a history. All right, y'all just knew the history when you was pinning him down, right? Daniel Penny's press release is not an apology. Yeah, come on. It's not an apology nor an expression of regret. It is a character assassination and a clear example of why he believed he was entitled to take Jordan's life. In the first paragraph, he talks about how good he is. In the next paragraph, he talks about how bad Jordan was in an effort to convince us that Jordan's life was worthless. The truth is, he knew nothing about Jordan's history when he intentionally wrapped his arms around Jordan's neck and squeezed him and kept squeezing. In the last paragraph, Daniel Penny suggests that the general public has shown indifference for people like Jordan, but that term is more appropriately used to describe himself. It is clear he is the one who acted with indifference, both at the time he killed Jordan and now in his first public message. He never attempted to help him at all. In short, his actions on the train and now his words show why he needs to be in prison, says attorneys Dante Mills and Lennon Edwards. Mayor Eric Adams, who I don't know why y'all elected him. We told y'all not to put him in office the first time. Y'all, there was other options for that Democratic ticket, but y'all put him in there. The guy who's, I'm gonna make it sexy. Okay. Anyway, please give us a call. The family wants you to know that Jordan matters. You seem to think others are more important than him. You cannot assist someone with a chokehold. All right. So going back to what I was saying, in the event that your life is apparently in danger on the public subway that everyone else was using and everyone else seemed to be just fine, because I'm sure he'd probably been on that train all day doing whatever he was doing and everybody else got on and got off and kept it moving like people normally do in major metropolitan cities where you have millions of people. And every now and then there's going to be somebody who's on a different wave. You just kind of keep it moving and keep it, you mind your business and go your merry way. If you really needed to just restrain him, again, the idea of going for someone's neck and then holding them down. And then I'm looking at the other people on the train as well that assisted or did not kind of break up whatever was happening. I'm like, all of y'all are so full of it. Like, I don't get it. And for, I guess, the idea of everyone who's latching onto the idea of, well, he had a history, because there's been a lot of people who run in with that excuse. Well, then I think, if anything, that more so additionally also highlights that when you even talk about the state, the fact that, you have the state that continues to be aware of individuals who have whatever setbacks that they're dealing with or whatever it is that they're working through. And then they still continue to pretty much send them back out without support, without what it is that they need, and expect them to operate in a capacity amongst everybody else. And then everybody acts shocked when things happen. And so that's something I'm just not down with, right? And the thing that I've just noticed too, right? And I think the family points it out. Remember how we always talk about that conversation of good guys and bad guys, and how a lot of times, especially in the United States, when they want to justify some nonsense, they love to paint somebody as good and the other as bad. And they use those words and kind of create this whole boogeyman concept as if everything is a movie and everybody needs to be protected, right? And so now an individual who was somebody that, you know, danced and did Michael Jackson impersonations and pretty much minded his business most of the time, all of a sudden, because white people are scared, now all of a sudden he's a bad guy. And so now we have a person who has literally killed somebody that they didn't know for more than 5 minutes, and we want to paint them to be good. And even within our media and how they portrayed the story, and you saw the phrase Good Samaritan used in many different articles. I was like, see, this is the stuff that we're talking about. Because in reality, when there's a question or a concern around a Black person's behavior in spaces where there are white people, like a lot of times, the solution for Black people is always elimination and not de-escalation. However, let it be somebody white, then here comes the space for understanding. And so I think that's the issue that I have, right? You know, there's never an element of understanding or empathy or grace when it comes to us. When we're not in our best state of mind or whatever, then we're just a threat to everybody. So not only can we not just, you know, be in a situation where they de-escalate whatever's happening, we just have to die. That's the part that gets me, right? And then you start to see that same cycle. The offense happens, right? There's the outrage, and then in comes the justification, usually coming from white America. They want to justify why this happened. And so here comes the character assassination. They start to change the narrative. And the part that's even crazier, sometimes the narrative is not even close to being correct. But because America already has such a space of anti-Blackness, it's so easy sometimes for people to believe things about somebody that didn't happen. So think back to, you know, a Trayvon Martin, right? They wanted him to be such a terrible person, so bad they found a picture of some other kid with some gold fronts. And apparently gold fronts mean that you still deserve to die. Or wearing gold fronts means you must be a criminal. Doesn't mean maybe that's just the fashion style that you have because of the region that you live in and that's what everybody does. But no, it must mean you're some kind of violent criminal. So they posted this picture of some other kid, you know, showing his middle finger and, you know, having a gold front for the longest. And apparently that was supposed to justify why Trayvon, you know, was, I guess, deserved to die. I'm like, that is some nonsense. Too much, right? And so they do the character assassination. They did that with Mike Brown as well. You know, they couldn't wait to go find some random video footage and say, oh, that was him robbing the store. You know, they love to kind of run and stretch and find whatever they can find to give justification. Because again, we come out of the womb with the inheritance of guilt. That's how I've always seen it. We're guilty as soon as we come out the womb. So we have to justify our existence. We have to justify our humanity. I personally don't believe in doing that. I'm like, F all of y'all. Like, it is what it is. I'm not doing anything to appease your well-being. That ain't my job. You need to work within yourself to figure that out. But, you know, that's pretty much what's been put on us, right? And it goes back to the idea of people always wanting to be heroes. For some reason in the United States, especially with a lot of white folks, there's an obsession with the idea of being a hero. The obsession of being the guy to save the day. I don't know if it's because we watch too many movies or what, but it makes me even think back. Remember, this was in Florida, right? I've probably referenced this video a few times, but it's the video in Florida where the guy's wife got fired. And so the husband shows up at the school board meeting with the gun, right? And clearly, the guy has come there a few times, and they already know who he is. So he comes in there with the gun. He tells everybody to get out except for the people on the board. And then here comes this white woman who they let get out. So rather than her going and, I don't know, getting the police and saying, hey, somebody just came here with a gun, she decides she's going to be the hero. So she comes back in. She has her purse. And you see her in the side corner because they had it on like surveillance. And you see her coming, peeking like, don't worry, guys. I got it. And so she goes and she tries to hit the man with her bag. The bag does not hit him in the head. It kind of brushes down his shoulder. He looks, right? And before anything can happen, she just throws herself to the ground. Just, you know, she was ready to die. I'm like, see, the problem with that is, had he been really like loony or extra violent, that could have been the thing that triggered everything, and he just shot up everybody. Like, that was the stupidest thing she could have done. Like, he already was in a space where he told all y'all to get out. He was going to do whatever crazy mess he was going to do with that board and tell them the beef he had, you know. And so all the people who had been, you know, pushed out, because there was a black lady in there too. When he said get out, Okay, she was out of there. Anyway, white lady said, I'm gonna be a hero. And so come back in there with the purse. And then the purse had nothing in it. It wasn't like she had bricks or nothing in there. And I'm like, you're gonna sit here and swing and then miss. And then you don't even want to fight for your life. Now you want to all of a sudden be a victim again and scream and holler and cry. And the guy just looked at her like, get out. And so he was nice enough to let her go back out there looking stupid and go to your car. Go to your freaking Honda Accord and go home. All right. Now I think that man actually died. The police came in there and they had like a whole shootout or something. But there's just this obsession with the whole idea of trying to be a hero. It's kind of like the folks that are obsessed with doing, I'm going to make a citizen's arrest. I'm like, if you don't get away from me, if you don't move with that bullshit, like go on somewhere. Or like you keep seeing the clips. I just saw another one too, where sometimes you have the shoplifter or the alleged shoplifter, right? And then they're on their way out. And then there's always somebody who wants to run in and try to help. And they pin down the person because, they stole a pack of Pringles. So they got to get body slammed on the floor and pinned down. I'll hold them down. I'm like, this was worth $4, really? And then half the time, the people didn't even steal anything. I'm like, y'all are on some nonsense. And it goes back to what we saw with the Ahmaud Arbery. Again, folks thinking they're going to be the heroes. Mind you, they were already racist on top of that. You add that in there with the hero factor. Now you got people driving in the truck with a shotgun chasing after somebody. And then the whole neighborhood and everybody tries to justify it. Oh, well, somebody had been breaking into homes that time. And remember that speech I just said about how we come out the womb with the inheritance of guilt already? Black man, you just automatically must be the one breaking into houses. And mind you, this house that's being broken into is a house that's under construction. Same house that everybody else has walked into and looked at the floor plans with and everything else, because that's what people do when they see new construction in the area. They like to look at the floor plan. Oh, this is where the kitchen is going to be. I wonder what kind of wood they're using. Oh, I think this actually might be 2 floors. Okay, I wonder how they did the wiring. I wonder what kind of pipes they're going to use. Oh, they use this kind of upholstery on the cabinets. Oh, this is so cool. But all of a sudden, a black man is jogging. He must have done something. And so they found every justification to try to reason and make an understanding of why the 3 killers killed him, right? There was the guy who was like, oh, yeah, a gun had been stolen out of my boat weeks earlier. And I'm like, so you think we're just violent beings. We just wake up ready to choose violence every day. We went and stole a gun out of a boat. And now we're going to run around the same neighborhood we stole a gun out of. And we're going to walk around this house that's under construction with this alleged gun that we could possibly have. And I guess we just go shoot somebody when they walk past. Meanwhile, so y'all put all this guilt on us all day, but you have all kind of grace and mercy for these white folks that keep shooting up and spraying everybody at every place and location. All right. Dylan Roof gets some Burger King. They couldn't wait to justify it and try to, well, he's a kid, he had a lot going on. They got every kind of justification, right? George Zimmerman goes and kills his kid. What does America do? Put money on his lawyer fund. Kyle Rittenhouse, F that lawsuit and everything else he got going. $2 million donated to some random kid that went and decided to drive across the state line and shoot up some people. Paint him as a hero. Make it make sense. And dang hero complex. It reminds me, I told you that time I was at that game. It was at the Nats game. It was a baseball game. This is like 2 summers ago. And there was a shooting outside of the stadium, but the shots were heard inside the stadium. And mind you, it was definitely one of those semi-automatic guns. So out of nowhere, everybody in the stand starts running and everything. And there's people running, oh my God, there's sharpshooters in here. There's assassins. And so the guy that's next to me, my friend, while we're in there, like, I'm already getting around. What the hell? I'm already plotting how to get up out of here. We got to go, right? Anyway, the white dude that was with his son next to me, he's going to stand up. He's standing, looking around like he was about to do something. I'm like, now what you going to do if they come over here with AR-15s and start spraying us? What are you possibly going to punch? Because you won't have a hand left to punch with if they shoot you in the hand. And I'm already annoyed because we already didn't want to go to this game. We were just trying to live our life a little bit. I'm like, let's just go to the game. Let's try it. Because it was supposed to rain that day. And I was like, as soon as it rains, we out of here. And we had just said, this game is actually pretty cool. It's going real well. And out of nowhere, that happens. So, black people don't even beat the baseball games like that. It was about 8 of us in the whole arena. And I was praying to God that these weren't some white supremacists, because I was like, dang, man, if they coming after the black folks, we out of here. And it was about 3 of us in my section. So I'm looking at the dude that's standing up, over here trying to observe and see what's happening, like he was about to do something. Like, can you not draw attention to my section? Because, we're trying to plot our exit. But again, everybody always want to be a hero. Just sit down somewhere. And that man needs to be charged. I'm sorry. The fact that they're going to have a grand jury to decide whether or not he needs to be charged. He needs to be charged with something. Nobody told you to pin that man down. Now, I'm sure he was probably on that train because they were saying, oh, he was threatening passengers and blah, 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 blah. So there's people on the trains that do that every day, all the time. They be in whatever space they're in. and life goes on. People are like, okay, whatever, and keep it moving, right? And at the end of the day, if you were so threatened, there were other ways to handle that situation as opposed to killing somebody, right? I don't get it. I do not get it. Man, you just be seen as guilty before you can even do anything. You just think you're going to do something. Make it make sense. I don't know. And I think the other part that I think is very interesting, then America gets mad when you mourn the people that die. They don't even want you to feel sad that the person died. Well, he was a criminal. Okay, and so was pretty much every last president we didn't have too, and y'all loved them every 5 minutes. All right, so I don't get it, and I keep telling folks like we don't have any allies in this game at all. There's no allies for us. Black people collectively have no allies. Are there people and individuals who have a respect or an understanding of our plight and want to fight to change some things? Yes, but collectively there is no other group that isn't our ally. We have no collective allies anywhere. We got a few individuals that sometimes will try and fight against that system. We're in this by ourselves. And I think the sooner we learn that, we'll be all right. Like, understand that we are tolerated in this country. All right. We're not seen as contributors to this country. We're not seen as members of this country. We're not even seen as people who belong. We are tolerated. People put up with us and we got to deal with these folks. They ain't never going to stop complaining. You know, they just toss us and push us wherever we got to go and gentrify whatever city and push them over there. And then we'll push them further out. Now we want to build a mall in the area they just moved in. So we'll push them somewhere else, you know, just tolerate. So it's just like, you know, some nonsense. But anyway, I'm going to pause on that. Lord, I have like one page of notes somewhere in my, I think it's in the other room. I'm going to grab it real quick. Just need to see something. And it's right in here. Oh, never mind. Just kidding. I had it. I'll just go off the top of the dome. It's fine. All right, let me read some comments and we shall keep it going. But no, that whole situation is honestly terrible. Terrible. And it's so normalized. We're in a space where it's just so normal to kill folks around here. Like, it's just routine in the United States. Like, there's too many people that are comfortable with the idea of people that are seen as criminals being killed, you know, through the means of justice. And not even justice that's regulated by the state, but justice by people who just decide whether or not somebody's, you know, committing a crime or not. And that's the other thing. Like, when people take these kind of matters into their own hands, you're now at the mercy of their threshold of understanding, which I think is a horrible way or a horrible position to be in. Because if somebody already has a preconceived notion about you as an individual because they already have anti-blackness embedded within their journey and their understanding of the world, then automatically they're already assuming you're up to the worst, right? This is why we get followed in the store or wherever you shop or anything like that. This is why when you go and try to get appraisals and everything for your house, they're going to lower yours in comparison to somebody else's. This is why black folks got to go, and when they want to sell their house, they got to take the family portraits and stuff out of the house to get the right appraisal. Like, that's what all that is rooted in. Right. This is why a lot of black folks, even when it comes to naming some of their children, sometimes they don't even name their children the names they want to give because they're afraid they're not going to have a job. So they give them a name that, you know, they'll give them whatever name they give them, but they'll call them by the nickname they really want to call them just so they have a fair shot. Like, that's what we're living under. Anyway. Thank you, Carrie Anderson. 15 freaking minutes. You holding somebody down on the train for 15 minutes. Now, how many stops did y'all go past? That's the question I'm trying to ask. Like, for somebody who may have seen the video, was the train just stationary for 15 minutes? Or was the train going and stopping in all these different places for 15 minutes? Because I've also seen other moments when there's some loony person on the train doing whatever, and the people on the train just throw him off the train when they get to the next stop, and the train keeps going, right? Y'all gonna hold somebody down. Like, what kind of nonsense? That's right, Ayana J. Exactly. Now they're justifying it based on info he didn't even have in the moment. Killed that man. And now they looking to sprinkle his past into everything. Tragic accident. I almost want to slap his lawyer too. What's their address? Man. Oh, yeah, we getting spicy here. Course correction says Daniel Penny's father is a retired police chief. That's all I needed to hear right there. Police chief supposedly. I haven't seen it confirmed. Mental illness did not kill him. Daniel did. And see, I don't like the idea of us always going and using a mental illness crutch all the time, because in reality, like, this kind of paints the picture. A lot of times people that do have mental health issues usually are the victims of violence. But society has painted a picture where we want to always paint them to be the aggressors and the violent ones every single time. And so you've started to use mental illness as a crutch sometimes to justify nonsense. But, I don't think that's a fair approach, right? Especially with all that we're seeing with these people that keep going and doing these mass shootings and everything, ain't nothing wrong with half of them. They just loony, and a different kind of loony. They got racism and hatred in their hearts. They done been indoctrinated into a lot of nonsense, and they feel that they must take matters into their own hands, right? And I think the challenge too, because I think I told this story maybe a few years ago. Like, one of my good friends sadly started to battle with a bunch of different mental illnesses, and sadly they're schizophrenic now. But they just, I don't know, they didn't want to take their meds because they were one of the smartest people I knew. This is one of the reasons why I be taking a whole lot of breaks and stuff, because it kind of scares me, because they reminded me of like maybe a female version of myself where we like operated the same way, like politically, intellectually, everything. The only difference is they wanted to really continue pursuing their education, so they were going and getting their doctorate, but they never were able to finish because they literally just, something triggered everything, and it got to the point where I had to pull back with love, just because I couldn't help them, because they were just in a space where it's to the point where they didn't even really know who I was. I'm like, dang, this is wild, right? And so, like, people deal with stuff, right? Stuff happens to folks, and people who have whatever setbacks that they're I shouldn't even call it setbacks. People who have whatever circumstance they're living under, right? They're just trying to get to their norm, to be honest. You know how hard it is to be in a space where the world that you once recognized is foreign to you, and you're trying to matriculate and do the best you can, and everybody's looking at you like you're crazy, and everybody's afraid of you, and you're sometimes afraid of yourself, and people start acting funny around you. Like, that's an experience that I wouldn't wish on anybody. And so I think, again, that idea of not even having compassion for people's experience, but more so trying to vilify and paint them and say, oh, okay, well, since they got this, they must be crazy. They're going to go and cut 10 people up in 20 pieces. Like, that's what we've gotten. So a lot of times they want to paint all these different stories. Oh, he was having an episode. He had a history of mental health illnesses on the train and everything else. Kind of nonsense. So stupid. And 24. You took it amongst yourself at 24 to be ready to kill somebody already. 24, what was I doing? Probably at Marvin's on U Street. But yeah, that crappy apology. What kind of apology? You didn't even apologize. You talking trash. Like, Lord. We're gonna keep going. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Eric Adams at all. When I saw that he got the nomination, I was like, oh, that's gonna be a mess. He plays the game. I'm good on him. Man, and then again, Daniel Penny still has not been arrested. Living his best life. He gets to release statements and talk trash. No, I did not hear about this. Did you hear about the young sister who killed the white guy for choking her boyfriend in Kansas City? I didn't, but I saw that clip of what's the commentator's name? Glenn. Did I write that down? I just jumped to that real quick. Oh, Glenn Cooper. The one that talked about the N-word League museum he went to and then got fired. I'll come back to him in a second. Somebody said, "Where's the empathy?" We've never given that. And I think the other thing I don't like too, I think for Black people, we also have to get out of the habit of always trying to humanize victims of this, because at the end of the day, nobody deserves to just die because white people feel uncomfortable, right? And so I don't think the burden should be on us to all of a sudden paint people to be human. Oh, well, he used to color for the children, and he took the kids to the wherever, and they sing Christmas carols at the senior citizen home, and we don't have to do that, because we already know who we are as individuals, and our humanity already exists. So it's not our burden, or it's not our job to prove our humanity to white folks who already don't give a F about us anyway, or to people who just have anti-Black views. Like, I think that's when you kind of cave in, you give them power that they already think that they have, right? You give them power, or you give power to their justifications, you give power to their ideologies by constantly trying to prove your decency. Like, and that's kind of why I think a lot of folks don't like the idea of respectability politics either. So you gotta, I'm good on that, but Ooh. Violence is, this is Tuco Pamoja. Violence is a major component of their system, and they have used it to instill terror and chaos within their black victims for centuries. That's just it, and it's horrible. Lord, I'm over it. Yo, Deanne Penna, I'm on the same question with you. Calvin, you mean to tell me there was no real black folks on that train? I'm confused at just how everybody on the train just sat there and let that happen. And because Daniel would have caught it. We would have been going to jail together, because Daniel, that definitely would have stumped him out with that crap. You just gonna sit there and choke. Like, you know you're killing the person. After a while, if you got somebody in a chokehold and they're no longer moving, they're not making any sounds, there's drool and stuff, and you just sitting there holding them down. Like, what? And y'all just sat there on the train. And then the other ones want to help. Oh, somebody holding his foot down and everything else. Anyway, so stupid. All right, I'm gonna keep it moving because y'all are going in here. Man. Tyler Hackner, the adultification of black kids. We talked about that on another video before, where even, especially with young black girls by age 9, when they were doing this research and just talking about kids in elementary school, how by age 9 they're pretty much seen as women, in regards to if there's a situation where, I don't know, they have erratic behavior or they're upset about something. A lot of the times when it comes to discipline, especially if they have teachers that are white women, there's an element of almost like a fear or intimidation, where they see the little girls as not little girls, but like young women. And so I have to find that research, because there's some great research behind that. It also kind of talks about, why so many black youth are put in remedial programs or special ed. And it's not even because of any kind of learning, disconnect, but more so just behavior, right? All right. Oh, somebody left a comment. Thank you. Oh, what up, BNA? Said, yo, why is my chat moving? All right, it said, Coper said N-word lead back in 2020 as well. Once was an accident. They even did it twice. Let me just go into that subject while I'm at it. So if you saw the clip, you got the guy Glenn. He's a commentator for one of the baseball games. I think it was Oakland Athletics and the Kansas City Royals. They're having a game. He's doing a commentary, and he was talking about how he had just went to the Negro League Museum, but he didn't say Negro. He said the other word, and he said it so naturally. It just flowed out easily, and then he didn't catch himself or correct himself. They just kept going with it, and then he apologized a little bit later. But he's pretty much been suspended indefinitely. Pretty much, he's fired. For me, I just feel like that's not really a slip out. Like, that's something that's already embedded in your mental Rolodex. You've been saying that all the time. You guys, you got caught up, right? I mean, it just flowed the way he said it. I said, you know what? Sheesh. America's a mess. All right, let me keep going. Hot mess. Accident. All right. Why is my scroll? Okay, here we go. We ain't about to have no nonsense. This thing ain't about to freeze tonight. All right. I agree. I'm in the same boat. And then of course the comment jumps right where I'm trying to read it. Where's that comment at? Dang, man, it was a good one too. Well, I agree with whatever you said. I'm trying to find it. It was somebody saying that they don't argue with folks. Like, I'm in a space too. I don't argue with nobody about, especially like I'm just in a space. I know how I see things. I know where my intentions are coming from. And so a lot of times, sometimes people might miss the train that I'm on and totally misinterpret everything I say and want to come and argue and start a war. I'm just not about to argue with you. It's kind of like that goofy old man that decided to make the response video to something I made a year or two ago. I'm like, you don't even get a response out of me with that nonsense, because I know you're pressed. Because I know that means you're subscribed to this channel, because that means you dug deep into one of my in the news videos and found a segment that wasn't even one of the main topics and made a response video. Like, over here, camped out on my content and thought you was going to make a response video and embarrassed yourself. The worst part is you don't even get any acknowledgement from me. So enjoy that with your 39 subscribers. Anyway, And that's not a dig at anybody with smaller channels, but don't come at me sideways and then be loud and wrong. Anyway. I'll find it later. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. We need to jump into the next. Oh, here it goes. It was being released. I no longer argue with people who refuse to see my humanity. We don't possess the same morals, so it's fruitless. Yeah, there's just no point in wasting your energy trying to argue with people who already don't see the value in you anyway. You're gonna be wrong no matter what, how they see the world. They're gonna move the goalpost every single time. So there's no point in even wasting your time, trying to do all that. All right. Thank you. Just saying, love listening to you. Make so much sense. Thank you. I appreciate it. I try. Sometimes I get it wrong, but I mean well. That too. They said the other dude didn't even look shocked as far as the baseball game. He just sat there. I was like, what kind of? All right. Yeah, Melody said, it's no way that's not intentional. I think they say it and laugh when they think they can get away with it. Or if it's not that, they say it so much when they're not on the air, they forget that they're on the air and stuff slips out. Now they got to pretend, oh, that's not, because, then the next step is, oh, that's not who I am. And I donate to the NAACP and my best friend's cat is black and everything else. So here they go. All right. Okay, we have to move on, guys. I'd love to sit and chat, but we have so many other topics. Man. Okay, this would be an interesting conversation. I kind of want to see a lot of you guys' 2 cents on this. So Eboni K. Williams, right? Can I just say, before I go into this, I don't like when we get into the gender wars within the Black collectives because we already got so much other stuff going on. And I feel like when we really do the us versus them, this us men versus women, and y'all don't do this, it breaks my freaking heart. And I get it. People want to be individuals, but unfortunately, we live under a collective umbrella of anti-blackness. So we're stuck with each other, whether we want to be or not, for some people who don't like the other. But I hate that we always get into this space where we jump into these little mini wars, right? I can't stand it. But anyway, so Eboni K. Williams, she was catching some smoke because she was on some podcast or something. Actually, y'all need to just close all the podcasts, put all the microphone equipment away, right? If it ain't a podcast, that's some storytelling or something funny, just put it away because all of these relationship podcasts, and y'all be on here just saying all kind of crazy stuff. And one end of the spectrum is some crazy stuff, the other end of the spectrum is some crazy stuff, and then everybody be mad. It's draining, and it'd be the loudest folks that be loud and wrong with the biggest platforms and just out there saying anything. So yeah, cut back on the podcast. But she was on some kind of podcast with Iyanla, and Iyanla had asked her, well, would you date a bus driver? And her response was, well, if he owns the bus. And her reasoning was saying, well, she's pretty much in a space where she believes, I guess, I'm trying to not mess up her quote. She went on a spill about mediocrity in our collective and how we, should strive for more excellence, and we just can't reward people for, getting C's and D's and everything else. And then, others who have climbed and escalated, they have to settle for less. And then she went into a conversation about white supremacy and how, because of that system, we kind of sometimes stay in a bubble of, mediocrity and don't want to expand and grow. And then there was a follow-up, and she went on the Breakfast Club, and then her and DJ Envy got into some argument, and there was all this discourse, and everybody's been releasing statements and everything. And so it's been a whole lot of everything going on, right? I'll say this. The beef I do have with her reasoning, now here's my thing. Date who you want to date. Do what you got to do. I just didn't like the way the wording was presented in regard to how the bus driver conversation is, because it kind of painted it as if you're working class, then you're just not worth, a conversation. I get it. People have their journeys. Some people accomplish whatever they accomplish. They want to meet somebody that's where they are. I totally get that. But I think with your wording, you have to also understand optics and understand that everybody's journey is different. And everybody also has different values and different standards of what they want. And so, I think you have to really be careful with how you word things because it's easy for your words to get twisted. So I think some of what she said got twisted, and I think some of what she said was also very intentional. And I think that's what's kind of started this whole war, where you get two ends of the spectrum. You get some who are saying like, nah, she's totally anti-black and she's always like shitting on us and this, that, and the third. And then you have others who are like, no, why should she have to lower her standards and so on and so forth. And then you get the conversation of the idea of a black collective and what responsibility do we have to each other when it comes to relationships or building a unit, or what we owe within our collective community. But then you have some who feel there is no collective community. Do what you got to do. And so there's the conversation of individual versus collective, and it goes on and it goes on. I'll just speak for myself, right? Like I said, everybody has their own preferences. She probably wouldn't work for me because I probably don't make enough for her. But I'm just in a space where I think with relationships, for me, money is one piece, right? But that's not everything. Like, I still would have to be able to actually like you as a person. I'd have to be able to deal. We have to be able to deal with each other. We have to be on the same page. I would hope and pray we politically see things the same way. We have the same goals, the same ambition. And I think, again, the conversation of bus driver, there's nothing wrong with being a bus driver. A lot of bus drivers make really, really good money. My uncle was a bus driver. He was a bus driver in Savannah for 30, 40 years, had his house paid for, always bought a new truck, went fishing, did everything, was in a bowling league, had a great life, right? His wife was super happy. And they got a really great time. And I think with that, too, I think if you're going to have that conversation, because I don't like the idea of judging people based on whatever they do professionally, right? That's one of the things I don't like about living in DC sometimes. If you go to like a mixer or something, the first thing people ask is, well, what do you do? And I don't like that question, because then you already know automatically that's going to kind of determine how they're going to respond to you depending on what it is that you do, right? But I think with that, again, even if you're having this conversation about bus driver, right? Now, we understand that the United States has shifted from an industrial country to more of a tech and bank-oriented country. And so if we go back 30, 40 years, a bus driver was definitely a top-tier career field, or, you have a great living, and it still is today. But I think what's happening is there are people who get into spaces where they're really making like some serious, the upper end of six figures sometimes. And because there are only so many in the collective that even get to that space, they just want somebody that's in that same bucket. That's not my experience. You make me happy, we can make it work, we'll figure it out. Like, my thing is, let's figure it out together. But some people have gone on a journey on their own and built whatever they built, and they don't have the patience or the time to want to build with somebody else. They want somebody that's already there. Like, that's why I don't like the idea of umbrella approaches to like relationship discussions, because everybody's gonna be different. Like, I'm in a space where, I don't consider myself rich at all. I mean, like, hell, I'm not rich, not even close to it, right? Especially when I was still working at the community center. I was at the look, we one step from beans and noodles some days, right? And so, for me, if money is a conversation, for me, it's a conversation of stability, but it wouldn't be a thing of like maintaining a certain lifestyle, because I think I have a pretty simple lifestyle. I'm not over here living lavish or anything like that, right? But I think with relationships, everybody has their own thing. And I think you just have to find what works for you. I think it's also in poor taste to judge somebody based on their career field right off day one. Like, damn, you're not going to get the bus driver a chance. And I guess she was saying, well, he owns the bus, then sure. But dang, like, Lord, but that's her. I get it. Some people do what they do. It is what it is. But I think at the same time, you probably don't want to be with somebody who wouldn't respect what you do anyway. So, I say, everybody, who is this? What is this on here? Oh, never mind. This random robot on this thing. You're doing too much. You got to go. Anyway, but let me handle this. Sorry, this is, I don't know what this is. All right, sorry. Them thing, like, what is it? Like the little bot things be showing up, spamming my chat. But no, I don't know. It was very interesting to read the content and the discussions around it, because I think there's many layers. There's so many layers to all of this, but everybody's trying to use a one-size-fits-all approach, and that's why nobody's agreeing on anything. I think, again, if you have standards for what you want, okay, go for your standards. But I think just do you. But I don't know if she and I see eye to eye on that specific part. I guess it's also different because I'm the man, so society puts it in a space where I'm supposed to be the provider. So it wouldn't really be a thing where I'm the one, trying to depend on somebody else, right? But I think, I don't know. Let me read what y'all are saying on here. I don't know why the troll spamming my account. All it does is like jump up my algorithm, you know what I mean? And then it just gives me more, it puts me in a higher space where more people come to the live. So that works for me. More money for me. Yeah, I can buy some more concert tickets. Plus, we need to get a new MacBook, so that works for me. All right. Anyway, let's see. Let me see where we're going here. I want to see what you guys are saying on here. Somebody said they're tired of these podcasts. I like that, Ayana J. I think folks need to also remember that silence is also an option. Not all your thoughts and preferences need to be shared. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to share everything. Because I think that's really just where, for me, where she messed up. It's just the way that the conversation about the bus driver was handled. It kind of painted it as if people who choose to be a bus driver settled and that they didn't strive to be the best they could or be whatever they wanted to be. And she's just not in that space because she's been able to do this and do that. I just think the way it was worded comes off in a way that's very dismissive, right? And so I think that's going to set a lot of people off, because then you also have to be realistic and talk about the United States from a systemic standpoint and why so many of us are in some of the predicaments that we're in. And she kind of somewhat responds to that by talking about her upbringing and everything. And I'm like, that's great that you had the upbringing you had and you've made it to where you have made it. But again, there are exceptions to the rule. And pretty much as a Black person living in America, if you're making over 100K, you are an exception to the rule, because systemically, we ain't supposed to be there. Right now, I think, is it $40,000 right now is the average salary for the average Black person in the United States right now? Like, I don't know if I saved that fact in here or not. Did I save it? I probably didn't. Oh, I'd be having stuff and then I'll be knowing where I put it. But yeah, so I don't know. Everybody's different. And then, because even with my father, right? I grew up in a house where my mother was a breadwinner until I was probably in high school. My father always worked. Both my parents were military. My dad got out, and then he worked at the window factory for years. He was making like $13 an hour. But it was also a time period where $13 an hour, you could still support a household, right? And my mother never looked down on my father or anything like that, because he never got the opportunity to go to school or anything like that, because he ended up going to the military. There's a conversation about, especially when you're talking about the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and how disproportionately a lot of Black males ended up in the military. Okay. And so, you have that portion, but my father always still pulled his weight, did whatever he needed to do. My mother respected the fact that dad was dad and dad was man of the house. And there was never she's going to hold anything over his head. And then she supported him as he ended up going to school and getting his bachelor's and doing his thing. And then he ended up getting his really good job. And then he became the breadwinner. And then he supported her when she went and did and got her education as far as getting her bachelor's and everything like that. Like, I just see things working from a collective standpoint. So while we're doing a collective standpoint, I just want to get back into the idea of the fact that I personally am somebody that is really into the idea of collective operations, right? Community. That's where I am. Some people are going to be more individualistic with their journey. I've just always been real into community, right? And so I wanted to backtrack, right? Because I think sometimes you can see examples of when we work together, how well things can go. So can we go back to the bus boycott really quick? Right? So a lot of times we always hear, okay, they had to boycott, Rosa sat on the bus, she didn't want to get up, and they had to boycott, and everybody lived happily ever after, right? But so when you really get into the logistics, right? So we already know the story of Claudette Colvin, right? That was the first individual, right, that had the situation with the bus. She didn't get up, and they were gonna, try to use her for the movement, but they were like, I don't know if this is gonna work, because she had ended up having a baby right afterwards, and they didn't know she'd be right for the, because again, colorism is a thing at this point in time. This is a dark-skinned girl that's pregnant now. They said, we don't know if she's gonna be the face for this. But we fast forward, you had the Women's Political Council. This is a group of Black women in the area that are all about community. And so there were all kind of issues taking place at the time, right, in regards to race, discrimination, and Jim Crow and segregation and all that stuff. And Emmett Till had just happened and all these different things. And so they were having the issues that were taking place with the bus, where again, they were getting treated terribly. One of the things they never talk about too, like when it came to the buses in Montgomery as well, only 10 seats were allocated for Black folks. Even though they were 75% of the ridership, only 10 seats were specifically allocated for Black folks. And if those 10 seats were filled up, they just had to stand, right? And so anyway, with that being said, they initially planned this boycott. The boycott was supposed to be for one day, right? And they went and they got all the radio programmers. They had the meetings at the churches. They passed out the flyers. And that one day went pretty well. Like pretty much most of the people did not ride the bus. So they decided they needed to have pretty much a meeting, and they needed to pull more people in because they figured, okay, we can probably make this a bigger thing. So then this women's group decided, okay, well, let's go ahead and call some of the, community activists and some of the men and some of the leaders that are also in the community, and let's kind of map out what we can do here. So now they're bringing in all the men that are also in these different movements, right? They had this big giant meeting at the Holt St. Baptist Church, right? And this was the meeting where they decide, okay, we're going to really go hard with this boycott. We're going to make this a whole lot bigger. and they were trying to find somebody that could like be a presenter and a speaker because they have this big event. And the church holds like 4,000 or 5,000 people. They probably had like 10,000 people that showed up. So people were outside. They had to plug up speakers and stuff to get this whole thing going. Because at this point, people in the area were tired of the nonsense, right? And so they're having this big, giant, whatchamacallit, I don't want to call it a rally, but trying to get everybody all the information about this boycott. And they're also trying to find a speaker because they didn't know who they could get that would actually even speak and talk to everybody. And then in comes this young preacher that has kind of just moved to the area, and boom, here's Martin Luther King. And so Martin Luther King gets like a 20-minute warning. He comes up with a speech in 20 minutes, gets everybody motivated. They go and do this bus boycott, right? And I mean, it was to the point where, you have hundreds, because again, you had the boycott, but in addition to that, they had the carpooling and everything. This is why when that stupid actor, I forgot his name, Shamik something, that was talking about whatever nonsense he said. I made a video about it. He ain't said anything else ever since then, but he should never open his mouth on stuff he doesn't have the range for. But oh yeah, he said Rosa should have caught a cab. Anyway, back to my main point. So they have the carpool service. So they have hundreds of cars or hundreds of people that are doing this carpool service, right? And at the peak of the boycott, they were giving upwards of 10,000 rides a day. Now, let me tell you how traffic in the United States is, right? So a lot of the bus drivers ended up losing their jobs because remember, the boycott was for 13 months, right? I think it was 187 days or something like that. And so a lot of the bus drivers started losing their jobs because nobody was using the bus. Like I said, 75% of the ridership was Black. All right. Black people already at that point in time still had their stuff on their side of town. But also what was crazy was a lot of Black people also lost their jobs as well because they couldn't get to work. But a lot of those bus drivers that were fired, what do you think they became? They became police, right? And so then when you talk about the carpooling, a lot of these people that were drivers were constantly being harassed and ticketed and pulled over. So then you even had like pretty much a task force within the carpool to ensure that there was kind of security for everybody where it was drop off and pick up. And long story short, you have everybody in this collective working together for a common, theme or a bigger cause, right? And so with the success of that boycott, this goes all the way to the Supreme Court. And then this is when they use Claudette Colvin. She ends up being one of the plaintiffs in the suit, right? They didn't use Rosa Parks because they felt like that's gonna be a bunch of other crazy things happening. And then a lot of the men in the movement actually did not serve as plaintiffs, mainly because there was a conversation about livelihood and safety. Because again, they were bombing up everybody. Like the lady, the Joanne Robinson, somebody had put acid on her car. They had firebombed Martin Luther King's house. They were trying to kill everybody. So, it was a lot of the women who are the plaintiffs in this trial that would pretty much lead to the decision of them desegregating the buses. And so, like, the idea and where I'm going with this is pretty much the idea is that I think when it's all said and done, because we're not where we want to be collectively, we can't let individual perceptions or viewpoints or sometimes movements that could be a little self-indulgent or different things take us away from what the end goal is. Because at the end of the day, we're still living under an umbrella of anti-Blackness. And so you don't want to get in the habit of being anti-Black men or anti-Black women or anti-Black LGBTQ plus community or anti-Black whatever. Because at the end of the day, all of us are under the anti-Black bubble. And so we have internally the issues that we have. But I think when we let those get us into a space where we no longer move as a collective and we move as individuals and we are now scattered, I think it just kind of digs into any more progress that we've already had. It makes things even worse. And then this is how we get different societies that become very exclusive and almost segregate the collective in the community. And then Black folks aren't welcome into this by other Black folks, right? I just think that can be a slippery slope. So I think we should be careful with some of the nonsense we engage in, which is why I don't like a lot of these podcasts, because I think a lot of them are very toxic. And a lot of people who have no kind of real education or expertise in some of the things they talk about in regards to relationships and everything. And I'm not really talking about the Eboni K. Williams lady, but some of the other stuff I've seen, I think people should keep it light and bright on some of these conversations. Anyway. All right, let's see. Somebody said she is classist. It kind of does come off very classist to me as well. But let me see. Hell, she's doing a segment with Iyanla. That should have told you. Iyanla got y'all digging in the grass and talking to the dirt. Let's see. Jessica J said the second video was nasty, and the ISP. I'm not even sure what that means. Okay. That's where I'm at, Sean. So you can date whoever you want without ishing on the working class people. That's where I'm at. It's what it is. Like, I think there's points that are made in some of what she's saying. I just think the wording, the way that it's presented, comes off in a way that, yeah, it's going to trigger a lot of folks. And again, if she's in a different space and a different experience, then she's going to be with somebody that's in her experience, so on and so forth, I guess. Let me see. He said it was the grill, and Iyanla is on a podcast tour. Would you date a bus driver? Oh, okay, here we go. It was all promo for Iyanla. See, I think even that kind of stuff. Like, what is the purpose of doing that? What, it's kind of like when people on Twitter and Instagram keep making all these stupid scenarios. Like, oh, would you if somebody takes you to Applebee's on a date, would you go home? Like, damn, you getting a meal, right? Like, dang, if we go to Applebee's, it's because I'm gonna have some conversation. If that's all I can afford, I'm trying to do my best here. Work with me. I just think that's where we constantly, like, I don't get the purpose of that. Why are you gonna have a thing? Would you date a bus driver? What? Like, that's just starting something. Like, all these random scenarios y'all want to put together. Like, Lord. Yeah, them folks be having these random theories. Like, would you date a girl where y'all had a perfect date and then she got in a car accident and lost one of her arms? Would you still date her? I'm like, y'all be having these stupid scenarios. Like, man. Jessica J said she went on to preach about individualism and bootstrap. Oh Lord. See, I didn't watch everything. I got the tidbits that I got, so y'all can fill in the voids with whatever I'm missing. Oh, she's engaged to a white man. Okay. All right. Do what you do. Everybody date who you want to date. I'm with you, Jay Goods. It's not only about money. That's where I'm at. I'm probably somebody who, I guess because I never had to really want for much, money doesn't move me the same way. Like, I mean, money is great, but I don't make a lot of decisions based on money. You know how many people told me I was stupid for staying at my last job for so long? Like, who stays at, a community center for like 11 years when you don't make anything? Like, even family members, I mean, I would get told about myself, like, don't you realize what all you could be doing, but you still at that daycare with them kids? I'm like, somebody in the family sent me a really nasty letter one time. I could be petty and read it, but that's going to start a war, so I'm going to leave it alone. But man, just know they let me have it in that letter. And they were like, you should have went to law school. And mind you, I was happy. Life has been great. Like, you see me bragging about the kids, all them same kids that y'all said I was wiping noses, now they getting degrees. So clearly my work paid off. I get to see the outcomes of my labor, right? Anyway. Queen said dating based off social status and tax bracket. I mean, some people date and marry that way. Yeah, there's some people who have like status relationships, and I get it. There's also a conversation of people who want to build and generational wealth and all that. But I think if you want to have that be a portion of it, fine. But I think in addition, there just still needs to be that compatibility and that understanding. Like, I would hate to be in something where I'm not happy, but I'm only staying because our money is good. Like, we're both making really good money, and so we're just tolerating each other because we're trying to maintain the lifestyle. But everything else is not there. Like that, I would hate that. All right. Now, maybe that's why I'm not married yet. Dang, this. Okay, let's see. Yeah, trolls are in here today, but they'll be all right. I guess when you start getting trolls, that's how you know you've made it. Okay, deep thoughts and upgrades. Thank you. I think the real points around Eboni is her being the average black man's preference who prefers not to settle and has dated a white man. 2, most want black women to settle. Oh, okay. And 3, women earn more money in our community. And I think, especially when we talk about the idea of like with women earning a lot more money and also being more educated, it goes into also that space of the systemic outcomes of the United States as well. And then all men that have been incarcerated and so on and so forth. I just think there's so many layers. And I just think she might not have been the one to have that conversation. I think you needed somebody with a more nuanced approach to have that viewpoint. But it is what it is. People are going to do what they do. And, you know, y'all said y'all are over relationship podcasts. Somebody said, y'all need mature black female perspective in this chat. Why put me in timeout? I ain't put nobody in timeout. Look, I was talking on my soapbox talking about the bus boycott. So whoever put you in timeout, it wasn't me. Let's see. 2008 B Scott, it's the framing that's problematic. I think it's just the framing. I just think that's where it's at. Mature black female podcast said, have you heard black men speak on black women? I do it on this channel all the time, and I always come from a place of love. All right. I also get told that I pander to black women too much, which I don't agree with. I just think I say how I feel. I guess I grew up in a space where I was raised by a lot of black women, so I've always seen them in positions of, now I shouldn't say authority, but I've just seen them always taking care of business. Like one aunt was a lawyer, one was a banker, one was a teacher. My mom was in the military. My grandma actually used to clean up for this white man when I was little, but yeah, all the women they were about their business. They could do stuff and fix the roof if they needed to. So I've just always never seen women as anything beneath me. So like that's why I don't like some of these podcasts where I hear like some of the men be like, "Yeah, you gotta humble your woman." I'm like, what? What she gotta be humble for? What you doing so that she gotta be humble to you? All right, that's another conversation. Anyway, all right, y'all about to start a war on here. Somebody said, Calvin, ain't no millionaire going to Applebee's with any of us. Let's be real. Well, hell, I ain't been to Applebee's in a minute myself. But actually, I feel like a millionaire or two would go if that's what's open and they hungry. I mean, I get it. Don't be fooled. Some of these millionaires be eating McDonald's like everybody else. Oh, God, we're not even about to jump into Kevin saying, I ain't doing this with y'all tonight. Not today. Lord. Oh, this chat is way behind me. Okay. Let me scroll. I didn't realize I was this far back. Oh, Ms. Diva Shy, great question. This is sidetrack. Thoughts on Callie posting? This is for the reparations, the panel they had, or the what's the word I want to use? The committee, I guess, and they decided, okay, they're going to recommend $1.2 million for, or up to $1.2 million for like a lineage-based reparations, and it kind of depends on how long you've been there and everything. That's a great figure for me. I think it's pretty dope. I think, but you're definitely about to be in for it. Like I said on a lot of the lives, in the event that reparations comes into fruition, then you're going to have everybody and their mom fighting to either chip it away if they don't get any, or they're going to infiltrate and saturate and water down the net. Everybody going to be African-American all of a sudden. Well, you know, my great cousin, folks that ain't got no black in them, my great uncle's second cousin, she was enslaved in South Carolina, and she worked in the rice fields. Yeah, because her name, everybody gonna be black. Everybody gonna be in line getting a check. Let's see. Let's see. Y'all in here fighting. What we in here fighting for? Like, Lord. That's why I didn't want to talk about this. I knew they was about to start having a war in here. I also think this is a generational conversation in regards to what people are dating. Like, I think for millennials and Gen Z too, what works, or not even worse, but the experience that a lot of us have, like, understand, like, even with millennials, the millennials are marrying a lot later, starting families a lot later, because money has become a part of the conversation. Because look at how expensive everything has gotten. Like, goodness, like I was just watching the news and they're saying the average cost of a new car is $47,000. Like what? $47,000 for a car, right? And even the used cars are way up there. The cost of housing is super high. Like I don't even think you can get a decent house in DC that's not $500,000 right now. But people aren't making these salaries that can even afford you that kind of lifestyle. And I think you got a lot of people now who are what you call house poor or rent poor, where all of their money goes into where they live. And mind you, it's not on purpose. It's just the only thing that's available. You got to figure out where you can stay that's close enough to where you work and so on and so forth. And so I think things are just different. We're not in the era of the 50s where you could live off a one income household. We're not in the era of what you saw in the sitcoms where you can have Al Bundy, be a shoe salesman and have enough or make enough where his wife doesn't have to work and he can have a nice house and he got the red convertible and the 2 kids and the dog and live in a nice neighborhood. That's not 2023, right? And so there's a lot going on. All right. Somebody said my best friend made over 100,000 a year and retired 70,000 a year at 53. My mom had a pretty good deal too. She retired, I think, at 58. That's good for you, mama. So she's living her best life, having her a great time. That's good for her. All right, we're gonna keep it moving because we'll be here. Y'all will be here arguing all day. Somebody said half their paycheck goes to their mortgage. Look, we live in the same life. I think it's more than half of my paycheck going to rent up in here, man. That's why I'm tired of renting. Abby Wise said, we keep talking about the situation as though money is everything. It is entirely possible to have relationships where one partner makes more and they're still equals. That's what I was saying earlier. Like my parents were always in equal. Like for me, I just think relationship, this is how I approach a relationship. To me, it's give and take 50-50. I don't like the idea of one has to be dominant over the other and the wife must be submissive to do what I said because I'm the king of the castle. I ain't making no king of the castle money around here. I'm making enough to take care of me. But if we're talking about having a baby and all this other stuff, then you're gonna have to work too. We're gonna be living off beans and noodles, right? Actually, no, I have to make a YouTube video every night to pay the mortgage up in here. So yeah. Everybody, y'all just do what y'all need to do. Date who makes you happy. That's where I'm at. You can get one life. We only here for 70, 80 years, God willing, sometimes 90 and 100 kind of gets depressing because all your friends died off by then. Just go find what works for you and leave it at that. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked about Chris Brown and Usher. I guess. From the story that I read, and the facts keep coming in. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I haven't really followed this one because apparently when this happened, I was at the Janet concert having a great time. So this was not on my radar. And when the concert was over, I was on my high. So I was not thinking about no Usher and Chris Brown. But so it was reported, Usher threw Chris a party for his 34th birthday. And apparently there was some kind of interaction between Chris and Tiana. Now, the rumor that I saw was that, this is in response to the AMA performance. Tiana, she's really been jumping into her creative directing bag, right? And so she and Chris were supposed to be doing like a Michael Jackson tribute at the AMAs. She had to pull out because she was doing her movie, the 1001 movie I have told all of you to go and see because she did such a good job. Great movie. But she had to pull out for whatever reason, and then the people at the AMAs decided they were just going to go ahead and yank the whole performance. Apparently, that was the origin of whatever beef he still had with her. Something was said. People step in. Apparently, Usher stepped in, and somehow they get into some kind of altercation. That's what the rumors were saying. I wasn't there. I really didn't follow the story like that, but it's been going and going. And then everybody was really anxious to see if Usher was going to perform at Lovers and Friends the next day. He did. Chris Brown also performed. I don't have a whole lot to say on it. That's why I don't even think I put it in the title. I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what to do with that. I don't. We'll see how that unfolds, I guess. I think I haven't really heard of Usher being in too much drama with a lot of folks. Look, Usher's living his best. Usher be skating, right? He be skating backwards and stuff, and having his Vegas residency and growing water. All right, so I ain't really heard about Usher being in too much stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But I know you're not about to fight me if I just threw you a party. We have shut the whole party canceled. Everybody get out. But let's see. Let me read what y'all are saying on here. That's a mess. All right. I got all the spammers in here today. All right. Let's see. Oh, y'all still on this money bit. All right. Portia said, I care more about being treated well than money. Oh, thank you, Solo Child. That was the phrase task force when I was talking about the reparations committee. Let's see. Y'all are still going in about this relationship stuff. Lord. All right. You say Chris was high as a kite. I do think Chris be doing the white powder because I was watching the clip of him cutting the cake. He couldn't sit still. Somebody noted it too, like he cannot sit still. I was like, I hope he's not having that issue, but that Hollywood game and all that fame and everything, that'd be messing up a lot of people. So we'll see. Where is all right? And well, let's see. Yeah, Tiana was really good in that movie. Really good. I need to watch the I told you before, there's a Donna Summer documentary that comes out, I think, in a few weeks. I want to really see that one. There's a Little Richer one that just came out. I need to watch that too. I haven't finished Dear Mama. I'm only one episode in. That's the Tupac or the doc on Tupac's mother. I haven't finished that one yet. Yeah, so I got a few things. I got so much I got to catch up on. It's just my plate is freaking my plate's all. I feel like my plate's been full for like 3 years, 3 long years, and a lot of it is because there's things I've been working on that just they're like long extended projects that just take time. I'm like, man. Chris Brown is diagnosed as bipolar. He is. Okay, I didn't know that. I knew Kanye was. All right. Oh, everybody cutting up. Brian McKnight. I hadn't even heard from Brian McKnight in so long. So when I saw him trending all week, I was like, what is this about? So apparently a lot of people were not happy because, he's been, he has a new wife and they have some stepchildren. He made a post about, stepchildren and just how happy he is and everything. And so in comes the conversations about like, well, what about your other kids? Because you have some biological children because you were definitely with somebody else before and everything. And it just started this whole war. And I didn't realize, I had no idea there was a whole lawsuit, like a defamation suit that the daughter had filed against him. I'm like, y'all got folks, celebrities need to just get off of social media. Social media, sometimes in my opinion, is the worst thing that's happened because it exposes everything, right? So many people are getting caught up, but as far as Brian McKnight, all right. He said something about this the first time he feels like a father or something else. I was like, oh, okay. Let me see where y'all at. I don't know. Some people are just I can't place judgment, but that's not how I move. I'll say that. It was very disappointing to kind of see how all of that unfolded and how the children were treated and stuff, right? And you've seen it sometimes where some people sometimes have one or two sets of kids, even though these kids are not technically his. But that first set of kids, they don't get any of the love, right? And then when the second set of kids come, that's when they get everything. You kind of feel bad for that first cohort. But yeah, some of these folks, Lord, Steve Harvey too, the way they be doing some of their old children and ex-wives, they do better, people. Rosewater said, everybody's a mental nut compared to today's standard. It's unfortunate. I just think more of everybody's business is out in the open because we're a lot more connected than we were 30 years ago with social media and everything. And just think about people who post all their business on social media. People who are like getting divorced and they go back and forth with their spouse on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever they use, or they make a TikTok about whatever's happened. Like everybody's business is out there, right? Everybody overshares. So I just think everything is out in the open now, especially with these celebrities. So celebrities that you once had a really high respect for, they just keep disappointing you each and every day. And it said that Rila said the daughter won that lawsuit as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Usher. I haven't seen the Usher show in Vegas, but I heard it's really good too. But when I saw him in the UR Experience show, it was a really, really great tour. So I definitely believe it was a great show. And I'm still mad at y'all. Y'all did not let Good Kisser be great. That should have been a top 10 hit. Y'all really missed out. Let me actually read the post that Brian actually had. I want to see what he said again. Let's see. Back at one, huh? All right, Brian, let's see here. He initially said, this is the post that started everything. Oh, no, this was his response I wanted to read. This is after he finally responds to all the backlash he'd been saying, right? He said, not sure how all these posts that have been sitting here this whole time were left out of the false narrative that is trending. Abandonment. There's always more to every story. Stay tuned. Now, that was 3 days ago. I don't know if he said anything else since then. I guess we'll stay tuned and find out. All right. Yeah. All right. Somebody said less is more. We don't need to know everything. I agree. Confessions of a Jaded Optimist said Meghan Markle, her father was making more money when she was born. She got nicer things. That is why the older siblings are so mad. You see that in a lot of families, even the Jacksons, right? You know, they when Joe had the 10th child and she was the one that got to call Joe dad, and he went to her recitals and stuff, but the other 9 didn't get that. And I think that's probably why the other 9 are not as close with Giovanni Jackson as, well, I don't even know if them 9 are close with each other. But, you know, I think that can be tough when you just want that experience or that connection with your parent and you see them give it to somebody else. You probably feel like you're not as worthy or whatever. Like, because I remember the sister Latoya had the reality show, and she's like, "Can I call you dad?" And Latoya was about 60 then. I'm like, "Ooh, all right, no judgment, but all right." What up, Ashley Rhodes? She said, "Why you're not shouting me out?" Because the comments be scrolling. I don't get to see everybody's right away. All right. Dang, man, my chat is already frozen. All right. This thing is so annoying. All right, let me do it on my phone. This thing is so stupid. I think the next time we do a live, I'm gonna be on a new Mac, y'all. So I ain't got to deal with this no more. Let me see. Pull this up real quick. Let me keep my chat going. All right, we're still live. All right, so I want to keep going. There's a few other things I want to talk about because there's so much going on. Let's go to Texas real quick. There's been a lot going on. So we've seen there was, and y'all gonna be mad at this opinion, some of y'all. So there's been kind of 2 tragedies that have gone back to back, right? So there was the shooting in, was it Allen, Texas? And there was also the other situation in, let me see, make sure I wrote it down right. Where's that at? There we go. That's what I'm looking for. All right, so Allen, Texas, and then Brownsville. So in Allen, Texas, you had the shooting at the mall, right? You have the lunatic that goes out there and starts spraying everybody. And then in Brownsville, you have the guy who goes and drives over 18 people and kills 8 of them, right? What's interesting, I want to just read this article really quick. I think this is about the actual shooter from the mall, because this is going to go into something else I'm going to jump to, because I'm going to somehow correlate this and tie this to Don Lemon in a second. All right, where's that piece that I want? You know, you be having your notes and stuff already, and then they don't be where you need them to be because you didn't arrange them the right way. Okay, here we go. All right. Texas mass shooter posted neo-Nazi content. FBI document reveals the shooting suspect was wearing a right-wing death squad patch, according to documents obtained by the Rolling Stone. The suspected mass shooter, who killed at least 8 people at an Allen, Texas mall on Saturday, frequently posted pro-white supremacist and neo-Nazi materials on social media, according to an FBI bulletin reviewed by the Rolling Stone. The FBI review and triage of the subject's social media accounts revealed hundreds of postings and images to include writings with racially or ethnically motivated violent extremist rhetoric, including neo-Nazi materials and material espousing the supremacy of the white race, the bulletin reads. And that's all I need to read. I'm going to stop right there. So a long time ago, people got mad because I did a live and I said there's a lot of people who come here to be white. And there's also a lot, because I think there's this perception that in order to be anti-black or a white nationalist or white supremacist, you need to be white. And I definitely said that there's a lot of people who come to the United States and they're told you can live the American dream if you come and assimilate and just, play your part. And a lot of people come and do that, and they latch on to the anti-Black talking points. And a lot of them also sometimes will erase their own lineage, their heritage, their customs and traditions that they came from to have a better opportunity to climb up. And then some of them just latch on to a lot of crazy things that take place. And so you end up getting a lot of people who are white supremacists that are not white, right? And so with this Texas shooter, this is one that is a prime example. The same way I said George Zimmerman moves like a white man. His last name is Zimmerman. His name, that's Georgie. But George Zimmerman thinks he's a white man, right? And so you have a lot of people who, like I said, will erase their entire identity and align with white nationalists and racist talking points because they don't see themselves as white. And it goes back to even when we talk about the early 1900s and all these different lawsuits and cases where you had different marginalized groups of people who were moving into the United States and wanting to be classified as white. Perfect example. Let me pull this one really quick. We can talk about here. There was an article in Time when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Indians aren't legally white. Now I'm gonna mess this man's up, so please forgive me. But his name was Bhagat Singh Thind, I think. Wasn't challenging the racial discrimination of his era's immigration laws. Rather, he was trying to expand the commonly understood definition of white to include people like himself, a high caste person born into Punjab, right? I'm not going to read this full article, but long story short, this is from 1923, right? And it was an individual who pretty much was frustrated because when he got here, he was not treated, in a space where he thought he would, he didn't get the red carpet rollout because he was an Indian American, coming from India. And so he wanted to be classified as white because he felt that he wasn't like those people. One of the things that happens is when a lot of people do get here, right? You're taught one of two things. Like we said, assimilate, jump into the mainstream culture of white America, but also stay away from those Black folks because those people are going to be a problem, right? And so people come here with very anti-Black views. They come from South America with anti-Black views. They come from Central America with anti-Black views. Some come from the continent of Africa with very anti-Black views. Some come from the Caribbean, anti-Black views. Some come from Asia, anti-Black views. Some come from Australia, anti-Black views, right? Everybody trying to come in and fit in. And so then let me go back to, I want to read a little bit more of this cuckoo article here, but it just highlights the fact that America, as far as that system that's there, has been doing its job. Because how is it that you, and this is about the shooter in Texas, as an individual, you come here and you see yourself as a white man, and then you go and shoot your own collective. Like, that's crazy. And I've said that before, like within the Latino community, they don't see themselves as a collective, which is why they vote the way they vote. They vote very divided. Like you have one segment of that collective that tends to vote Republican, usually about, I want to say a third. And then you have, is it 2/3 or 1/3? 2/3 vote one way, 1/3 votes the other way. It's 2/3 vote Democrat, 1/3 votes Republican. I think I'm saying that right. If I got it wrong, correct me. But again, because they don't move as a collective unit, because they all come from these different spaces. And there's never been, in the same way, some people will challenge the idea of Pan-Africanism and say Pan-Africanism is never going to really quite work because you have 54 different countries that have their own identities, their own ways of doing things. And so it's almost unreasonable to try to make all of them move as one unit. It's the same thing with the Latino community as far as, you've got all of the people in South America and Central America and everything else like that to try to make them all operate as one collective, plus those who identify as Latino in the Caribbean. It's going to be like chaos to try to make them identify as one collective. And so that's where we're kind of at here. I want to go back to this article because I think there's one other piece I wanted to read really quick before I jump into my 2 cents here, or the rest of my 2 cents. Because there's a second article I want to jump into. Now, this is the same shooter, all right? Mauricio Garcia maintained a profile on the Russian social networking platform OK.ru, which is now part of a law enforcement investigation. Social media page appearing to belong to a gunman who killed 8 people at a Dallas area outlet mall has shared extremist beliefs with rants against Jews, women, and racial minorities posted since September, as well as posts about struggling with mental health. He maintained a profile on Russian social network platform, including posts referring to extremist online forums such as 4chan. Oh, we know about 4chan because they used to come and spam this channel. I know when I used to set it off on here, they would come in droves. It'd be like 400 people in the comment section just light me up. I'm like, dang, y'all oppressed. And content from white nationalists, including Nick Fuentes, and anti-Semitic white nationalist provocateur. In the weeks before the attack, Garcia posted more than 2 dozen photos of Allen Premier outlets where an officer killed him after the shooting Saturday and surrounding areas, including several screenshots of Google location information, seemingly monitoring the mall at its busiest times. It's interesting, even when you look at that Proud Boys case and the main ringleader who is now going to be, going to jail, somebody else who was not white, but again, aligning with this cohort of white men that, do whatever they do. And so it's just interesting to see how anti-blackness is that strong, because to me, all of that is rooted in anti-blackness. It starts right there because that's America's foundation, right? And so the other thing I think all these politicians can cut the crap with the thoughts and prayers. You know what I mean? It's the same nonsense. I think that when it comes to the conversations around any kind of gun violence or anything like that, nothing that's ever going to really change because everybody's bought out. I've said that a million times. And for the people that always come on here and say, what does gun violence have to do with Black people? Let's be real. Like I've said before, we're collateral to whatever else happens as well. So in the same way that now you're seeing all these mass shootings everywhere, and they keep, expanding and expanding. Understand, Atlanta is now one of the top 10 cities for a mass shooting. And let's talk about the demographics of who lives in Atlanta. So everything still eventually comes to us. So I think people need to, be a bit more realistic. We can't be just one issue activists, in my opinion. You can expand your horizons a little bit. But the other thing, too, that's starting to get on my nerves with these folks that have these moments where they're mad at the world. I'm like, if you are mad at the world, well, then you go and get in a rocket ship and go where you got to go. Why is it that everybody got to be collateral to your nonsense? You just pull up at a mall and start shooting people. People minding their business. You know what I mean? People that just got their paycheck trying to do whatever they can do to go and make things work for them. And then here you come and you want to load up and spray up, right? It's just like the other guy that ran over all them people in the border town. Like, whatever your thoughts are on immigration, do people deserve to die because they're trying to better their life? Whether you agree with how they're getting here or whether you don't like the idea of where tax dollars go, I fully hear all those conversations. But it should never get to a point where people are targeted and killed for existing. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these people who are coming from these countries, they're coming from these countries because the United States government effed up their countries years ago, right? Effed up their infrastructure, took out their leaders, staged coups and everything, and whatever other policy they had. In the same way the United States is going to fight and claw to always be an imperialist nation and be in charge of everything, other countries come at an expense. And at the same time, we like to paint ourselves to be the country of the moral compass that offers grace and extends things to everybody else so people come over here, right? And so where you stand on it, so be it. But nobody deserves to be ran over. Nobody deserves to be randomly shot. It's some bull. All right, let me read some comments here. Let's see. Oh, I still got more to say. Hold on, let me back. Actually, no, I'll come back to it. Let's see. So this stupid Mac's still frozen. Make no goddamn sense. All right. Katrina said, remember the time when we didn't know our faves were trash? Listen, celebrities just get off of Twitter and just don't tweet. I think celebrities should just tweet about whatever projects they have and go from there because they put so much on there. It's not all of them. Some people are actually really fun to follow. Like, I think Holly Berry is hilarious to follow on Twitter. She's a lot of fun. Who else is really funny? Some of the people are funny. I enjoy some of their stuff. But a lot of these folks they put all the wrong stuff on there. Like, man. Right. Avocado Queen said, dude was Mexican. Like, you went and shot up your own. What kind of mess? Man. Somebody said the victims are mostly what demographic? Most of the victims were Latino, from what I understood. I'm like, you went and shot up your own people. Like, just imagine that. You have an entire identity, an entire culture. You come here and erase it. And then you align with the people that don't even like you, thinking you're going to get in. Like, that's what I pretty much said about, I'm going to just jump into it. So even with Don Lemon getting fired from CNN, I'm going to get to him in a second, but I do want to talk about the guy that he actually had that debate with before he didn't return the next day. The guy, Vivek, what is it, Ramaswamy or whatever. Now, he's running for president as well. And it's very interesting because both he and Nikki Haley are both running for president, and both of them have pretty much come into a space where they've tried to erase who they are in order to climb up. And please understand, like, no matter how much you play into the whole idea of being white adjacent, you will never be white. You will never, there's going to be a cement ceiling that you get stopped at. So yes, playing into all of the white adjacent tropes and latching onto white nationalism and anti-blackness, sure, it will get you to that ceiling faster. But when you get to that ceiling, that's where it stops. And so, like I said, a lot of people will erase their identity to climb up at the expense of their own community. There's Black folks that do it too. I've already named a whole bunch of them, Candace included, right? They do all of that. And then white America shows them who they are. Because let's just be honest. If it came down to the election, if it was down to Nikki, Trump, and this guy, white America is going with Trump. So it doesn't matter how many Trump talking points that the two of them have made, or whatever. They're not it. Sorry, America operates in two spaces, black and white. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, the United States is still very black and white, will always be. Even in music, it's very black and white. So I think even when I did the Bruno Mars conversation, and I highlighted somebody like a Nicole Scherzinger, who very talented, great singer, great dancer, showmanship, great entertainer. You know, when she was with the Pussycat Dolls, massive, all over the place. As soon as she goes solo, white America was like, we don't really want her. You know, yeah, she does all this, but we already have our entertainers that we like. Black America's like, she's cool, but we already got Sierra and Beyonce and A-Marie and Kelly Rowland and everybody else. And so there was no place for Nicole, even though she had all of the dopest producers and everything, never quite caught on, right? Same thing with even like somebody like a Paula Abdul, right? She got that space that she was in, but the idea of like pop music it's fickle. And once people are done with you, they brush you on off. Now, the good thing is if you have a black collective that supports you, if you're an R&B artist, you can always get that support from your R&B crowd, but the pop crowd moves on. Somebody like Paula was never rooted with the R&B audience. So when she fell off with pop, she fell off totally. So, you know, America is very black and white. There was something I said about this dude some weeks back. I don't remember what I said, but it was something crazy. But long story short, he was on CNN arguing with Don Lemon about gun control, somehow trying to correlate the NRA with being one of the reasons why black people had some of the rights that we had now. I said, y'all love to stretch and put some nonsense out there, all in the name of, you know, climbing up at the expense of black people. I was like, man, if this ain't the stupidest argument I've seen. And then Jesus, I was really gonna light him up when I first saw that clip. And I was like, you know what, I couldn't even get to it because time came and did whatever it did. But yeah, you just see a lot of people who, again, will change who they are to try to climb up. And I'm like, well, what are you climbing up for? Because what is it over here that y'all want? Like, you see how chaotic this country is? Like, I would have been on the plane going back. Anyway, let's see. It's a mess, y'all. I'm also tired of hearing thoughts and prayers. And really, I don't want some of them prayers from some of them folks. Some of them folks ain't got no kind of anointing or moral compass anyway. Whatever you were praying to, don't bring that crap to me. Leave me alone. Right? So these folks just climb over their own people to climb up, which I think kind of sucks. Yeah, she Rose said, come on, Nicole was the Pussycat Dolls. And that's what I thought was interesting, why she never quite caught on, because the other ones didn't do that much singing minus the Melody Girl. And so you would have thought, you know, an entertainer that had all this pull with a group would have been able to go into that next direction. But yeah, America wasn't interested. So it's interesting. Let me see where we're going here. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you said that, Rod 402, because that's where I'm going. Now, let me get to Don Lemon real quick, because he said, what happened to Paris Denard? So, remember now, I did a video on him some years back, too. Paris Denard was another one. Black dude that played into a bunch of nonsense, always trying to, you know, pretty much the anti-black talking points to climb up. Like, people understand that, you know, because America is that racist, you can have a whole career just saying anti-black things and get platforms and be invited to panels and everything. And so Paris Denard was one. Now, where he messed up, there was that sexual assault accusation, and CNN got him out of there real quick, right? So getting with Don Lemon, because somebody was like, you didn't say that about Don. I was like, I wasn't even around. But with Don, I was always on the fence with, because Don liked to straddle the fence. He just got his Negro wake-up call a few years ago. But remember, in the early years when Don first came to CNN, right, he was an okay anchor. He was kind of here, right? He had one episode where he started talking about the fact that more people were killed by white men in guns than black folks, and white America chewed him up, spit him out. That's when he made that shift and that pivot. And during all of those years of the anti-police brutality movements, when we start talking about like 2013, 2014, 2015, and he was out there just cooning out just saying any and everything, right? That was when that's when it was the, you don't want to get killed by police, pull up your pants, and all the respectability things. And then, the obvious smell of marijuana is in the air at this protest. And he was just out here just embarrassing himself. And I'm just like, Don, why? What are you doing? And it got to the point. Do I have the article? Because I know I saved it. There was an article that was released one time. I want to say it was like 2015-ish. I don't remember what year it was. But the article that was released was saying that he was one of the least anchor. Or here we go. Is this it? Oh, found it. I'm good. All right. Don Lemon got a bad journalism award this year. It's probably been a slightly bittersweet holiday for the CNN. And this is from 2014. CNN host Don Lemon. While it may have been wonderful personally, but okay, get to the point. Don Lemon was named the worst in journalism in 2014 by no less than the Columbia Journalism Review, an award which probably doesn't boast too many cheerful recipients. Anyway, but the point that they got at was like, they pretty much are just saying exactly what I just said here. So he has all those years where he was doing all that tap dancing, trying to win over white America, and it was working, like, right? It started to work. White America started to like what he said. So then, he has white America in his pocket, right? Because the other thing too, if you decide to build your audience on the backs of anti-black talking points and you try to pull in white America, sure, they love you. But the thing is, you have to stay in that bubble that you've created for yourself. And the minute you decide to get that wake-up call and jump back into reality, they're going to be done with you. And so he has his trip to the motherland. And he goes to Ghana and sees the slave castle and everything else like that. And something happens. Trump starts running for office. And now all of a sudden, Don decides he's back down with us again, right? And Don really actually starts going in. I'm like, okay, Don, I actually almost rock with you now. And so for years, Don starts calling out anti-blackness and white supremacy and really just going in, right? And so I knew then they were going to start getting him out of there, especially when CNN started changing management and CNN decided that as a network, they were going to go more towards the right. Because understand, as Don started doing all his black people talk, again, his foundation and his base at that point were white middle-class women. They don't want to hear that. So they're starting to jump ship. So next thing you know, they cancel his nightly show, move him to the morning, right? So they move him to the morning show. They have him in the morning show with all these other anchors. He got to share the space. So that should have been a sign that he was already on the way up out of there, right? Because that's not even the same demographic, right? So the nightly show, you have one nightly group, and now you're moving to the morning. These are the people that sometimes either work from home or the stay-at-home moms or whatever. And now you have to share your platform with other people. And so it was like when he made that statement about women not being in their prime and they blew it way, 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 way up and made it seem like he shot somebody in the face. I was like, yeah, he's about to be out here. He's about to be one more thing and he's going to be done. I saw it coming. Everybody else was saying it too. There were a bunch of content creators that were saying the same thing. And so, yeah, he got into his bag. He got into this argument with the Indian guy that thinks he's white that's running for president. And Don was absolutely right with everything he said to that man in regards to, no, you're not about to sit here and correlate anything the NRA has done with anything in regards to black people having any rights, especially when black people are coming into a space where things are starting to become worse off, where the wealth gap is getting worse. And for a lot of us, we're in a space where there are some people in the black collective that were doing better 50 and 60 years ago than they are now, right? And then the guy trying to play it off, oh, I am offended that you would say that. And Donna's like, I'm black. How you going to be offended at what I'm saying about me and mine, right? And next thing you know, he's fired the next day. And it just goes back to, again, I feel like had Don been somebody that wasn't wishy-washy in the beginning and always just had, he was 10 toes down with the whole standpoint of where he stood, especially with black folks, and didn't jump on that train of trying to appease white America to get ratings, he would have been okay. Because I think the thing is, when you come out from a standpoint of honesty and a standpoint of just where you are, and you're not jumping into whatever wave that's there, people know where you stand on things. So they know what to expect when they see you. For Don, people never could really figure out where he was going to be. So it kind of sucks that they let him go, but he should have saw that coming. The minute CNN moved further to the right, bumped him to the mornings, and then when he got in trouble with the statement about the women not being in their prime, and then the other castmates were like, oh, I was so offended, and he's been hard to work with. I was like, yeah, they plotted for him to be out of here. So if he was smart, he should have already been having his stuff set up to go somewhere else. He should have already been reaching out to CBS News, ABC News, NBC, somebody, because CNN wasn't going to be it. They're not going to take him at MSNBC, and he certainly won't be on Fox News. And so, there's that. As far as Tucker Carlson, good riddance. I was enjoying watching him get kicked up out of there. That's one person I don't like, him and that bad toupee he be wearing. Anyway, let me see where we're going here. All right. Yeah, it sucks for Don. I feel like he'll find something He'll find something else, I'm sure. But Don straddled for years, and I couldn't stand it, especially at the time that he did it. I'm like, we're watching people that look just like us get shot and killed unarmed, and you're over here making an argument about people's pants not being pulled up, and you're over here making an argument about you were at one of the anti-police brutality protests and you could smell weed. People be selling themselves out for $1, and it always comes back. It will always, things come back full circle, right? You can tap and dance and do all that you do, but I'm telling you, they do not, man. Avocado Queen said, Calvin, I saw the interview. An Indian dude was deflecting so bad and didn't want to admit he was wrong about the NRA and civil rights. That's why I was like, good job, Don, drag him. But the problem is at that point, Don no longer had favor with that network. So they were definitely going to get him out of there. Because again, they don't want to hear that. Because now we're in this stupid space where everybody's, anti-woke and CRT. They don't want to hear that. So yeah, they were like, he has to go. But I'm glad he stood up and said what he needed to say. But dang, it came at an expense. All right. And it's Jack. He didn't even know. They just fired him like the next day. You ain't coming back no more. Said the major part you're missing, Calvin, is that his partner's a white man. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. And that explains a whole lot. And that things progressed, I believe his mate, who was like, oh, hell no, you must say something, just my opinion. All right, okay, Dan, let me ask you, are you talking about in like 2014, 15 when he was tap dancing or when he shifted back and had common sense again? I'm not sure which part you're referencing on that. And the things that progressed, I believe his mate who was like, oh, hell no, you must say something, just my opinion. Okay. This stream might be lagging, I'm not sure. Let's see. No, it's not. Deep Thoughts and Upgrade said, Don's kicking the pants was when he offended the white women by saying women were beyond their prime at a certain age. That's when they were done. And I honestly think what he was trying to say, and I'm not justifying nothing he said, I think because it was in response to Nikki Haley, who was saying they needed new energy in politics and she was going to be the face of this, that, and the third. And I think he was saying, Nikki, you're old news because you're a part of the old politics. That's what I got out of it. Maybe it wasn't that, but I said this on the last live or the live before that. I was like, Nikki, you not about to be the face of nothing new in politics because you playing the same game the rest of them playing. And you done been here forever as well. So now you won't be it. You won't be leading the charge. And she's going to learn that too. She's going to also learn that she is not white. So she can keep using that name, Nikki, which is not her real name. And we're going to see how white America treats her because she's polling at under 5% right now. I'll talk all these points and be losing. All right. Okay, I'm going to pause. Let's see, what else I want to talk about? I'm about to shift gears here. I'm tired of talking about race and getting a headache about it. Okay, we're about to shift gears a whole lot. Let's have some fun, shall we? So I posted this some weeks back, and I forgot to do it on the last live. All right, so this is a question, folks. Let me pull this up really quick, see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. Just trying to pull it up. This is a music related question too. Okay, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is two parts. All right, and there are two sections. Okay, so ladies, you all, the question is, and gentlemen, you got the same question, but you're gonna have a different set of choices because we ain't got the same range as women. All right, so you are being held hostage and will only be released if you can sing one of their songs note for note. Women, these are your choices: Patty, Aretha, Gladys, Shaka, Natalie, or Whitney. All right, meaning you are being held hostage. You have to sing one of their songs and nail it note for note. What song are you singing? Gentlemen, for you, your choices are Gerald Levert, Joe, Stevie, Tevin Campbell, MJ, or Luther. All right. Now, when I posted this on Twitter, it was funny because everybody was posting all of these songs that were like super, super challenging to sing. And I'm like, I'm going to have to hear some of y'all sing some of these. Well, somebody was like, oh, I would do I Have Nothing. And I said, that's probably the hardest Whitney song to sing. Okay. I want to see that. Because I was over here trying to figure out what could I get away with? Because, man, let me see what y'all are saying here. Okay, y'all are all saying Whitney. Okay, y'all can say the artist, but you got to say the song that you're gonna sing, right? Yeah, you got to pick an actual song. Oh, y'all are scary. Ooh, y'all are scary. Y'all said all y'all about to just not do it. Okay, Lucretia said she would do You Get Good Love. Okay, all right. Somebody, I'm Every Woman. All right, so you got Charlene, you got the climax of I'm Every Woman Down. You're gonna be able to go way up there and stay up there. All right. Let's see here. Y'all, what y'all got in here? Y'all are naming the artist. Y'all gotta pick a song. Melody said, Patty, you are my friend, but it's gonna sound horrible. The one thing, I feel like the women could cheat though, because they could just sing the male entertainer since most of the males would be in their range. Man. Alan Lewis said, I know for one I can sing all the above, so I'm good. Calvin, you heard me say. Yes, I've heard Alan sing before. He has a channel as well. Somebody said, say the artist again. Okay, so these were the choices. So for the women, it's Patti LaBelle, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, Shaka Khan, Natalie Cole, or Whitney Houston. You would have to pick one of their songs and sing it note for note, right? For the gentlemen, Gerald Levert, Joe, Stevie Wonder, Tevin Campbell, Michael Jackson, or Luther. Honestly, to be fair, y'all can pick from any of them. Pick who you want to pick. I want to make sure I include everybody. Let me see here. A lot of y'all are saying Rock With You. Okay. Let's see. Oh, come on, Linby. That's one of my favorite songs. Glad it saved the overtime for me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I like that song. Dang, a lot of y'all just tapped out on this. Y'all said we just ain't gonna be here. Yeah, that's some now. Okay, this is what we're on the same page. Kayla 11, she said I'm dying because I'll mess up some lyrics. That's me. I mess up lyrics. I was at the Janet concert singing all the songs wrong, loud and wrong. I be messing up people's lyrics all the time. So that's probably what would have got me taken out. Like I stayed jacking up somebody's song. So funny. Let me see what y'all got. What else y'all said? Somebody said my name is not Susan. Y'all are all saying Rock With You. All right. MJ Off the Wall. Somebody said we can all do Can We Talk. Now from that challenge I saw on Instagram, everybody was hurting on that one. People fighting for their life on that song. All right. That's fine. Okay, our love, Natalie Cole. This girl I went to high school with, Sophia, her mom used to tear that song up. Like their family was like a karaoke family. Like their whole backyard, they built like this whole karaoke stage. Man, it used to be so fun going to their house. Or sometimes we would just go to the karaoke bar. But her mom used to tear up all the songs. And then me and her would always sing We Can't Be Friends, RL and Deborah Cox. All right. That's fun. Okay, Love Overboard. Somebody said they do Natural Woman. How will I know? It's kind of high. All right. Forever for Always for Love by Luther. I really like the Layla Hathaway version of that as well. That's a really nice one. All right, let me make sure I've covered everything. Did I get everything? Okay. Yep. Okay, we can chop it up a little bit. What else did I want to share with you guys? Is there anything else? I'm kind of winding down. So I'm going to have a lot more content for you guys in like the next few weeks now that my schedule is kind of almost getting back to normal. And Mariah, so what happened is it's coming along. That editing is not fun. It's coming along, but it's going to be real good. I think I gave her justice. All right, because I know y'all Mariah fans, y'all play no games. So make sure I did right by her. All right. Luther Vandross, Superstar. I like that one too. Trevor Taylor said, would you ever do a deep dive on En Vogue? I like En Vogue. That would be cool. What I would rather do, I don't know how I would pull it off. I'd rather interview all of them individually and then put something together that way. I don't know if I'd ever be able to pull that off because they're always on tour. But yeah. Somebody said y'all are over on YouTube just looking up songs. Okay, see, Lil I3D, we're here. I'll Be There, Tevin Campbell. See, that's a nice song in his lower pocket where he's not climbing up to the rafters. So you get that. That's a good one. That's a great one. All right. What I do is So What Happened on Mary J. Blige, Between No More Drama and Love and Life. I mean, I'm pretty much up to do a So What Happened on any of these people. The hardest thing is just put it together. It takes so long. I think they're really good when they come out, but you spend so much time doing the research and getting all the facts and trying to build a story, and then y'all know I'm long-winded, right? You know, each So What Happened gets longer and longer, right? I almost want to go back and redo the brandy because there was more I wanted to say, but I was so afraid of it being too long, I kind of cut it down towards the end, and I was like, there was so much more that needed to be said about Afrobeat. But then the next thing you know, by the time I got to Janet and Tony, both of theirs were 2 hours. So, yeah, but it's like you're trying to piece the story together to flow, because I think it can be a challenge to keep people's attention for that long, because there are some people who watch and they're like, there's no way I'm sitting through no 2 hour video, and I'm like, just look at it like it's a documentary. You can come back to it when you're ready, right? But yeah, it's all the editing, and not the editing, all the research, and then putting it all together in the kind of story you want to put it in, then filming it, which I think that's when I do the most cussing, because I don't use scripts. I was saying this on Tariq's podcast the other day. I think his episode comes out. Not Tariq Nasheed. There's a different Tariq that has a channel. I think that episode comes out on the 22nd. But I was telling him how I don't use scripts on like my pre-made content. I'll have bullet points that I want to touch on, but I don't have like a script that I'm reading, word for word. So a lot of times I've kind of memorized what I kind of want to say in relation to that bullet point, and then I go. But sometimes I will miss a point, and then I got to start over or something. So yeah, then you film it. Then you got to edit it. But before you edit it, you have to get all the content you want to edit. So I will say this, like when I film the So What Happened things, like I film it in 20-minute increments. So I might have 30 plus 20-minute videos that I filmed that I'm going to slice and splice and chop up and arrange to put, into the story, because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make the actual video. Then you go and collect all of the material you're going to need to edit, all of the videos you want to use, all of the pictures, the newspaper articles, the Billboard chart releases. You got to get all of that stuff and put it in there, right? And then if you use anything like a music video, you're going to have to manipulate the video so it doesn't get flagged. You can only use so much of it in the editing or they will flag it. Where I messed up the first time with the TLC one, I had like their music videos playing while I was talking for like a minute and 30 seconds and do a copyright, strike this, content ID match. They said absolutely not. They demonetized that video so fast. And so you got to do all of that. And then you finally edit it. It really takes like a month sometimes to put those together. So as much as I enjoy the end result of So What Happened, I hate making them the same way I hate making in the news, but I will do it for y'all because we must grow together. All right. Anyway, let's see what else we said on here. The real Aries, the Aries kid May said Maxwell Extension. Now he was not on the list, but Extension, that's one of my karaoke songs too. I like that one. Let's see. All right, Love Me Slow said, hey Calvin, we talking about songs we can sing? Tracy Chapman, give me one reason. It's about it for me. I gave a lower kind of raspy voice. I like a lower raspy voice. That fits. Joe, I Want to Know is a good. Okay, Nathan Moore, we're here too. Joe, I Want to Know is a good one. I kind of fight for my life a little bit towards the climax of that song. Oh, Joe, I ain't trying to go way up there. He don't even like going up there no more either. I've noticed. But no, Joe's one of my favorites. Let me see what else we got here. Say, Calvin, you were living your best stand life at that concert. I was having a ball. Like, I had not seen Janet in concert since Vegas. That was like 2019. And you know what's funny? After Saturday, I would have seen Janet 9 times, right? But yeah, I had a freaking ball. It was so much fun. So much fun. I love the band. The band was really, really good. Dang it, I said I was going to save this for a separate video, which I still am going to do. But yeah, the band was really fun. I really think that's the best stage she's had ever. Honestly, I love the Janet tour stage. Velvet Rope tour stage is cool, but like this stage was just really. Janet don't be spending money on the stage like that no more. After the Rock With You tour that none of y'all went to, minus myself, Janet said, "The hell with y'all. Y'all about to get a stage, the band, and I'm gonna come out in some sweats with my 8 dancers, and that's what you get, right?" But this tour, I mean, it was like 5 or 6 special screens and this big globe thing that would come down and light up, and the screen came in the globe, and then this other thing that would orbit the globe and then light the. I was like, all right, Janet, stuff was moving, and I was like, there we go. All right, Janet done spent some money on this show, and it looks like it's doing really good. I think this is her fastest selling tour since All For You. Like at this point, from what I'm looking at, the numbers are doing better than All For You tour, so good for her. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, I don't use a script. So like literally what I have are just like my bullet points that I want to make sure I cover. Look how terrible my handwriting is. Like I just have like bullet points that I want to cover, and I just kind of go from there most of the time. Yeah, but I do plan on getting maybe a teleprompter for some more like documentary type stuff I'm working on outside of the stuff that I already do. Like I said, we're gonna kind of revamp a lot of things this year with the channel. So there's some new things coming and some things that are being evolved into something else. So teleprompter wouldn't hurt, but you know, I'd probably never stick with it. I'd be jumping off the teleprompter every 5 seconds. I'd be just like how Donald Trump is when he be doing his speeches and can't ever just read the teleprompter. He always got to give his opinion and everything else. Jumping into random segues. All right. Oh, now Avocado Queen, I'm gonna tell you, she got on my nerves with that. Now she was singing again. She loved to point the mic and make you sing. I was like, Janet, now I done paid too much. You gonna sing this song? But that was the only time she did it. She sang everything else, and she ain't had too much participation when we had to sing along. She had it. I was like, thank you, Janet, good. But yeah, she did it again and probably held the mic to the crowd for almost the whole song. I said, Janet, if you don't sing the song, but that was a fun show. She did like 40 songs, and she did a lot of songs that she doesn't normally do, or songs she's never performed before. I ain't gonna spoil it because I told y'all I had to fight and claw to not see any of this show because I always ruin concerts before I go because I love to kind of look at the YouTube clips and see what I'm gonna get. And so I had to challenge myself to not watch any Janet clips because I know by the time I went to the State of the World tour in 2017, I knew the whole run of the show when I was there. But this one, I did pretty good. The only clips I saw was the one everybody that went viral when she, y'all smoking up in here. I saw that in like a few things, but so I got to have a pleasant surprise and just actually enjoy the show. All right, enough on Janet. I told you I'm gonna give her own video. All right. Kirk said "Goodbye" by Tevin Campbell. I told y'all people sleep on "Goodbye." Like I think "Goodbye" is his best single. That and "Alone with You." I love "Can We Talk," but there's nothing like "Goodbye." That's a great vocal. Let's see. Somebody said you can use the teleprompter app, but see, I need to wear glasses. I need a big one. I need to be able to see. My vision is all over the place. Somebody said "Sing Luther" long ago. Let's see. Somebody said she's moving like she's 60 plus, but still has that. Look, she's been doing all that jumping and flipping and dancing for 30. When I saw the opening and it said 50 years in the business, I was like, dang, Janet really is getting up there. Like all my favorites are getting up there. So listen, she did enough for me. But I think, and I said this with the New Edition show too, where they slow down with some of the execution as far as all the physical movement, they've enhanced the musicality. So I think like as far as music and arrangements, and even she does a lot more live singing now than she used to. So I love it all. All right. I had a great time, like great show. I was on a high all night. I was wide awake. It was like 4 a.m. I'm laying in bed on a high. Anyway, yeah. But like I said, it was cool. Michelle Obama was in there, and then like with that Lettucey show I saw earlier, she was in the crowd too for that. So I'm gonna see if Michelle gonna follow me to the Anita Baker show or the Jill Scott show. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna start winding down soon. Yeah, I will post my actual review of the Janet concert after I go to the Baltimore one. I just wanted to go to both shows because some of the set list has kind of been changing in some cities depending on what she's doing. So I want to just make sure I have a full experience before I give my review. And I'll review Anita. When I watch the Little Richard doc and the Donna Summer doc, I'll review those. What else? There's some other things coming. I need to also get this Mariah thing out ASAP. It's taking forever. I said, whatever happened to Cherish? Well, two of them was getting on my nerves on that BET Presents the Encore. I tell you that, man. Oh, side note, I'm gonna post it in I'm gonna post it on my Janet review. I was randomly don't ask no questions, but I was just randomly digging through the rabbit hole, and so I found clips of Janet doing the Rock With You tour in DC. That was my first Janet concert. Why is there footage of me in the audience while she's doing Black Cat? It's so embarrassing. I'll post it in my review. It's like 20-year-old me, and they're just having a good thing, just losing it. And I was like, look at me, just excited. Good times, good times. That's funny. Oh, look at me getting compliments tonight. I've got to go watch that video of you going to see Janet. By the way, does anyone ever tell you how attractive you are? Your hair is so thick and beautiful. The arms looking real nice. Well, thank you very much. My hair is starting to get on my freaking nerves. I tell you that. I want to chop it off, y'all. I want to go back to wavelength, but I feel like I look better with hair. I only want to go to wavelength because I'd be tired of doing it. Like it looks a little jacked up right now because right before we did this, I came straight from the gym. Like so, my hair was all crazy looking, but hair is too much work. I'd be tired of it sometimes. I miss just getting up and brushing it and running out the door. Those were great times. So yeah, I'm gonna figure out something I want to do. Essence Festival. I don't know about Essence this year. I mean, I wasn't too crazy over the lineup. Plus, I feel like I'm not trying to sound cocky, but I'm booked all summer with stuff. So I don't think I'll be able to go. Like that 4th of July weekend is like one of the only free weekends I have this summer. Like I got to go to LA. I got to go to Atlanta twice. I got to go to New York. We're about to start my rollout for one of the projects. I have, I think, in the end of June. So there's some stuff coming. So I don't have a lot of free weekends to like go. But Essence is always really fun though. Like it's always a really good time. Really good energy, really dope people. So that's always really fun. So that's pretty cool. You know, I should have went to the SZA concert. That was one I wish I would have went to because the stage looked really cool too. Like I love the way that technology enhances shows. Like this, the way that they, even though I don't follow Taylor Swift or nothing like that, but I saw the clips of her tour too. I was like, she has some really cool staging as well. Now I'll probably never see her, but I like what people can do in modern times, and it makes me wonder. Like, man, imagine if you go back to those eras with like Tina back in the 80s, or Luther and all of these big greats, or Earth, Wind and Fire, or Parliament and Funk. Well, Parliament and the Funkadelics already were like 10 steps ahead of everybody with the staging, and same with Earth, Wind and Fire. But it would have been amazing to see what they would have been doing back then if the technology that exists in 2023 was out in the 70s. I know for sure those would have been some really cool shows. Stevie Wonder, part-time lover. Look, VH1 Soul used to play that almost every day. Good times. Somebody said Janet doesn't dance like she's 60 plus. In my opinion, she dances. This is what Janet does. Janet moves when she feels like it. So I think what it is, the newer choreography that she has, because I think for years, I wasn't complaining. I was happy. That's why the Rock With You tour was one of my favorite tours. Because that was when like she pretty much did all the original choreography to most of the songs. Like, I mean, she did like the original choreography to Nasty, the original choreography to all that stuff. But I noticed with a lot of the newer choreography, a lot of it is the upper body that she uses. It's not as much of her like moving and shuffling around as much. And I just think that comes again, with just the styling of the choreography. Because then when she would do If, because she did If and Rhythm Nation or Miss You Much, those she did like the original choreography for those. It's still like what you already get. Maybe she cuts back with how much of it she's going to execute. She'll kind of do her pacing and walking and bust out and then pace and walk a little bit more and then stand in one place and maybe do about 2 8 counts and then walk some more, like as opposed to the earlier years where the shows were very programmed and like every step was choreographed throughout the whole show. So she kind of balances it out. But again, I don't think there's anybody else her age that's even doing that. Like, first of all, of her peers, Mariah doesn't dance. Bobby, as much as we love him, I was telling y'all on the New Edition show, Bobby, they almost holding him up on the stage. But again, he's had a lot of health issues. But I will say maybe Ronnie DeVoe he still kind of gets it in on stage. I guess we'll see what Madonna does when her tour starts. But Madonna, to me, doesn't ever do a whole lot of dancing anyway. She does a little something. But for Janet to be what 57 or 56, and you got these 20-year-old dancers, she a 2-hour show, she did fine for me. But yeah, she picks and chooses. I agree, Nathan. Reparations needs to be tax-free forever. I agree. Kathy, what are your reaction to Genuine? See, look, y'all talking about Janet and Genuine falling off the stage. I like Genuine. I don't know why. He always got some viral moment going, right? But I rock with Genuine. I commend him because he kept singing. He fell like down in between and under the stage and kept singing. The show would have been over if that was me. All right. Thank y'all. Good night for coming. Somebody get me from under here. Like, I'm not, because I know I would have came back up. It would have been dirt in my hair. I would have been so pissed. That's funny. Hey, what about Maze leaving Frankie? I feel Frankie said he's retiring, right? From what I understand. So Maze, they're going to form their own band and do their own thing. And then I think Frankie was retiring, right? I think that's what I read. I might have it wrong. But, listen, all of these great legends are getting up there. Let them go and live their lives and be great. If they say they don't want to do it no more, they don't want to do it no more. So be it. I fully understand. So, yeah. Who choreographed Rhythm Nation? That was Anthony Thomas. I agree. Deep Thoughts and Upgrades. Yeah, concerts are expensive, but when you can go, live and enjoy the experience. That's what I did this year. So I just got tickets to everybody. So like I said, I told you the ones I'm going to this week. I got my godmom tickets for After 7 as well. There's some other shows I'm supposed to go to. Yeah, I done seen a lot of folks. We saw Escape, we saw New Edition, we saw Lettucey, we saw Janet and Jill Scott and Anita Baker and Yolanda Adams, and up next is After 7. There's some other ones. What else I got in here? I ain't spending no more money on concerts though, because now I need to be a real adult and stop spending money. So After 7 might be my last concert. I don't think I'm gonna catch. I'm probably gonna end up missing Beyonce because I'm gonna be in New York the week she's in DC. So, and I think by then she would have already done the New York show. So I don't know if I'm gonna catch B, but I know I'm sure that's gonna be a really, 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 really good show. Oh, Belize Galloway. See, y'all about to get me in trouble. I told y'all we wasn't supposed to be talking about Janet on here because she gonna show up ready with the smoke. Man, TLC is going on tour. I don't even know if I'm catching up. Look, I like TLC. I love En Vogue. I'm not trying to sit through Sean Kingston, and I'm good on Shaggy. Now, my mama loves Shaggy. She loves Mr. Boombastic for some reason. She just discovered the song like a month ago, and she's obsessed with it now. I'm not trying to sit through Sean Kingston, and I'm not trying to sit through Shaggy. I like Shaggy, but not enough to want to sit through a full concert. And they have him as a headliner over En Vogue. I'm like, dang, man. And I've seen TLC before, and they were really good. Who knows? Maybe I'll go because the tickets aren't super expensive, so I might think about it. But I don't know. Erykah Badu, I saw 2 years ago. Really, really, really great show, but I don't think I'm gonna see her on this go round. But no, I really she gives a great conversation. She gives a great show. She's always in really good voice. Kind of like how Lettucey was. Lettucey, again, that stamina vocally, she just sings to the rafters and just pulls it out. And Erykah, too. I've never heard her hit a bad note. I think I've seen Erykah about 4 times. Really, really good. All right. So y'all say a prayer that the next time we're on this live, I'll be on a new MacBook. If not, we'll deal with the same nonsense we've always dealt with. Let me see here. I don't know if Billy Ocean is still performing. I said meet and greet. Man, I had to bring some security to that. I might have to throw hands with a few folks. Some folks got some smoke for me. Let me see. Well, I am going to be. I'll announce it later, but there is something I am planning to do in a few cities, so we will see how it goes. If it comes into fruition the way I want it to come into, then yeah, you guys will definitely hear about it. So let's cross our fingers and hope that things align the way it should go. All right. It's gonna be really cool, hopefully. Especially for the people in DC. Y'all know it's easy to do stuff out here. But right now, possibly Atlanta, New York, LA, and DC. So we'll see. Okay, so he's still touring. That's cool. All right. Apparently this thing is lagging, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night because I think I don't know. But yeah, we will catch up. Like I said, thank y'all for bearing with me. I know I've kind of been MIA for a lot of spring, but life is lifing. So y'all pray my strength. And yeah, but anyway, I'm gonna call it a night. We shall catch up. I will post a few of these concert reviews. And yeah, I think in the news, like I said, makes a return the week after next. Book club is next Monday, 9:15 p.m. The Zoom link is already posted in my community tab. We are reading the Phyllis Hyman book, chapters. We went 1 through 4, 4 through 8, 9 through 12. And yeah, so like I said, with the book club, there's nothing you have to do. All you got to do is click the Zoom link, and then you can hop right on. It's usually a really, really good time. Great conversation. We always chop it up. I like the book club because we can be a lot more like informal and everything. I don't feel like I'm presenting and I have to be, my guard has to be up. Like the Zoom, we just chopping it up and hanging out and laughing and until we get tired of talking. So it's a lot of fun. So definitely come on to that if you're down for it. Even if you haven't read the book, you can still join in fellowship. All right. All right, you guys. I'll do 3 more questions and then I'm gonna hop off. Let's see. So make them some good ones. Oh, I remember that. I forgot T-Boz used to do that. The charity unplugged events. I totally forgot about that. Okay. Let's see. How do I feel about the culture and climate of music today? I think music is just in a shift. It's evolving, and the structure of the industry is changing. So we're kind of just living in the coattails of what's shifting, and we just don't really know what you're getting next. I think there's a lot of really talented entertainers out there. I wish they had the same kind of backing that entertainers once had 30 years ago. I think for entertainers in the mainstream, it's very difficult to really get on if you don't have the backing. And sadly, a lot of folks just don't have it because there's not as many labels. And there's a lot of labels that are oversaturated. And because they're oversaturated, they can only really push and support a handful of their artists. And a lot of people kind of just sit in the back wings waiting. And then the labels don't want to release them from their contracts. And so, because then they're afraid if they release them and that they go get signed somewhere else, then they'll, blow up. So there's a lot of folks in some really crappy deals. So I think that sucks. But I also think on the other side, this is the era of the independent artists. This is the era of the self-made artists that kind of do their own thing. And so, it's not too bad. It's interesting. Do I still do the R&B is Dead series? I said on the last live, I'm going to evolve that into something else just because I personally, like I've always said, I don't think R&B is dead. And at the time that I made the video, commercially R&B was just almost non-existent. Like this is when all the R&B artists were starting to really flop out of nowhere. And so that's kind of what inspired that series. And so we've done it for probably like a decade, to be honest. But I want to just evolve it into something else because now you're getting this movement where people are like R&B is not dead and everything. So I'm catching strays for videos I made 10 years ago. And so I want to evolve it into something else, but it would still be rooted in music. And then if you follow the series, you notice like a lot of the later episodes are more so like music history. And more so talking about the business structure. So I would still go in that same realm, but it would just probably be called something different. Right? All right. Y'all are in here shooting shots for real, huh? Oh, snap. Let me see. All right. Will I visit Canada, like Toronto or Montreal? I've never been to Canada. And you know what's crazy? Like when I lived in Washington, Canada, like Vancouver, BC was like 2 hours away. I've never been to Canada. And the one time I was going to the festival in Toronto, and then my dad died that week. So my friends still went, but I didn't go. So yeah, I've never been to Canada, but I plan to go at some point. I heard it's a lot of fun. All right. Can I play any instruments? Yeah, I can play. Well, clearly, I play all the instruments on my album. So, I mean, it's all through the keyboard. So, my keyboard is right over here. I had to teach myself how to play piano as a kid. And I'm okay on the drums, but not good enough to go on tour. Now, the instrument I want to learn how to play is the bass guitar, like slap bass. Like in my head, I'm a member of like a 70s funk band from like the 70s. Like I see myself in the Brothers Johnson playing the bass guitar on Stump. Like that's how I be seeing myself. So that would be real dope. Let's see. Oh, I don't like the AI generated songs at all. Absolutely hate that. And I think that's going to be a problem later down the line. In the same way, remember that album that came out, that Michael Jackson album that came out after he died, and then there was a lawsuit, and it turned out that half the songs weren't even Michael Jackson singing, it was somebody pretending. Now you be in a space where people that are money hungry can go and create brand new songs, and you're getting new music from all of these artists like a Prince or a Luther or Barry White or all of these people who passed on, or Rick James, and we wouldn't even know if it was really them or not. The highlight is AI is not that advanced yet, where you can still tell if it's something that's auto-generated or if it's actually them. But I can definitely see some money-hungry people using that and taking advantage of the legacy of a lot of people who are no longer with us. So I'm good on the AI. Like, man. Great question. Would I ever move from DC? I think about it sometimes because I want to own a house. DC's expensive. But there's only so many places I'm going to go. I have to move somewhere where there's a Black collective. I have to move somewhere where there's a decent job market. And with the things that I like to do, it would still be fitting for that city. So there's only so many places I'm going to go. So yeah, I think about it sometimes. All right, I need to get off this, guys, because I got to get up soon. Well, I've lived in Northern Virginia before. I used to live in Alexandria at one point. I mean, like, to me, when I say DC, I'm talking about DC, the city, and then everything in the immediate 20-mile radius around it. All that to me is because you frequent so much of it. Like, I always got to go to Bethesda for something, or I always got to go to Arlington for something, or Suitland, Maryland for something. Like all that. If you live in DC and you drive, you kind of are always in DC, Maryland, Virginia. So as far as this whole DC metro area, that's what I can kind of consider home, even though I live in DC. Yeah. But this is an experience that I just feel like it's not like a lot of other places. So DC is my heart. It's hard to leave here. I love this place. But it's so expensive. It's getting ridiculous. I'm gonna have to start selling drugs or something to white people because I won't sell them to my own. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys. This has been dope. I'm gonna get off. We shall catch up. Please stay safe, stay sane. Is there anything else I need to share? I think I've said everything. But anyway, book club Monday. Few reviews later in the week, and we shall catch up. All right, folks, I am out. Good night. I forgot I can't even close the stream out, so we do it the other way. All right, folks, good night.